Okay,
Whoa.
here
Oh,
we
boy.
go. Yeah, yeah. Oh boy is right.
No one's prepared for anything here.
We're
Yeah.
not.
I am perfectly prepared for what I'm going to do.
Nope.
Okay. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and have a quick recap of last time.
Yes. Where'd the thing go?
We are
Okay.
technically professionals.
Technically.
Are we?
I mean, by definition, yes.
The last
Just
one.
sent it.
While Devin's searching, what is this definition? Is there a certain
Definition
number of years or hours you have to do this in, or?
I
Yeah,
think
no.
just by virtue of how many hours we've done this, we are vaguely professional.
Are we though?
We have done upwards of 1,000 hours of D&D just this year.
Fuck, you're right. Jesus.
Oh god, no wonder we're rules lawyering all over the place.
Yeah.
We know all
we're
the
ridiculous.
spells!
Yeah.
We know everything! Oh
I
no.
wanna put.
Well, Ariel, you added new spells just to fuck with us.
Eh.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, as a rule, I can get behind.
Yeah, I like the idea of magic that is different in places or evolves. But
Oh.
it is a lot of work.
As
Even
soon-
just
as soon-
searching for it.
Okay.
As soon as we're done modern campaign, the current campaign, I 100% plan to have like cultural spells.
Okay. Recap. So last time we were just ending off with dealing with the zombies. I believe. And we were looking to settle into the watchtower rather than the Alar's household. Just for the sake of viewpoint and stuff. Alzana sits down for a scry and gets one on Calda. Calda talking to Osborne and reassuring Osborne not to worry about certain things like giant deer in the place he's going. A few other details are thrown around. Seems they're really going after Rose for this. And immediately, Alzana goes, "Oh crap, we know where they're going." Proceeds to scry on her mother, or at least this side's version of her mother. Gets it. Sees her for probably the first time. But more importantly, she sees the trees behind her. And she is likely in deep thicket, which was what she was hoping. And transported to her, and we ended up in deep thicket. It was very, very Mexican standoff at first. Especially with Lars, goddammit. But eventually we convinced enough of our intentions, and basically we wouldn't be here if we were trying to attack you and stuff like that. So Nishandra agreed to we're gonna bring you to the leader and gonna see what comes of that.
To your lead.
Yep.
God.
Just gonna put you through the filter and hope you come out the right end.
If we have a coffee at the end, wonderful.
Just talking as we go, stuff with the Nightingales, stuff about Roy. Eventually finally get to the area with Chief Warden. Calda gets a helmet. Kane gets a translator. And it'll basically give him a warning of them trying to go through Pridwind, up through Deep Thicket, and towards Threshold. As well, we basically explain that, hey, we're alongside the Keepers, although we're not specifically with the Keepers. We're like allies of them. We're working for them. Yes, they don't usually do stuff like this. We're different. But the Warden seems to, at a point, put the pieces together. And goes, "Oh, I remember the last time this happened. It was a thing with Stormgust. And so she gets the idea of what we're about and how we're probably trustworthy if we're the other coin of the bastards on her side. And eventually our we offer the looking into more for it and helping them defend because it's our own goals, but also we don't want to see Deep Thicket roughed up. Um, and we're given room and board for the time. Have some conversations. Kane talks to Alsana. Alsana gives a scry on Moore. Everything seems okay. Mori's a cat now. And Lars wakes up pissed the next day. We give a quick go over and scan of him. He seems okay. There's a fun little interaction with Kane and some elven kids. Nishandra's kids, as we eventually learned out. And then we later go back to the chief. Talk about things going on. Basically, if Nishandra knows about things. Further elaboration on Chief knowing stuff with us. Also gives another scry on Osborne. We see them en route, with a nice little conga line of undead behind them. And a good amount of people, all heavily armored, full plate. And they're still in the Dragon Spine, but they have left this morning, or that morning. We, from our best judgment, have about 7 days. Maybe sooner, maybe later.
So we must raise the battle till then.
Yep. Then Lars hits the deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Xanthus is mad.
Not pleased whatsoever.
Something about Duskbell. Something about the other Alsana. And apparently she did some shit. Lars gets a quick smattering of it. And then quickly wakes up. And then we start talking about it and figuring it out, and Alsana goes, nope, I want to hear it from the man himself. Proceeds to the ethereal, proceeds to get a natural 20.
Because of course.
Further elaboration. Death spells are meant as this kind of like equalizing rule among the world, an absolute law. But also within the purview of Alsana's understanding, it's possible there's a way to get around it or reverse it or something. Alsana could have just got up to some shit, and it's very, very within her grasp too. Xanthus is getting some stuff out. The rage is literally leaving him as he shrinks down. And Alsana is just kind of talking to him, let him being there to be supportive to this pseudo god. But also, he explains that knowledge of it should be destroyed. The incurring incident happened in the plains, in the Pridwind area. In a city of souls that is being... I'm Maggie.
You got it. Oh, wrong one.
Yep. But there's basically the go over of, yeah, fix it, reverse it, maybe make Duskbell stronger, but moreover, just make sure no one else pulls the shit again. And with that new information, if the Mir Alsana were to pull up some undead near Deep Thicket, they maybe have less than 7 days. And then it was just general planning around what we can do potential recon at Sanctuary. There's no one who's great at alchemy in Deep Thicket. We might be better off searching in, say, on Baryon. For Alsana, getting an idea of how to combat whatever's been done. Eventually it goes out that, no matter what, Forest needs to prepare. Things will be warned, especially the undeath thing and, the timing and stuff like that. Kane's considering contacting the York tribes.
We'll see how that goes.
But Chief is more concerned about the thicket. And then preparations begin, and that was the most of this, the over/under back. With the chief giving orders on what's happening.
Yep. All right.
Nice and rambly recap.
So, as we pick up this new morning, new day, what do you guys want to do in this following week to prepare for what you have seen coming?
We wanted to check Fridwin first, right?
You wanted to check, what was it?
Fridwin, right?
Bridgewin is another country.
Oh.
It is what you know as the Howling Plains.
Okay, yeah. Oh wait, the Citadel, in that case.
The Shining Citadel? Okay.
Yes, I thought Fridwin was the name of it, my apologies.
That's fine. Pridwin is the name of the country. The Shining Citadel is what the capital is called. Though, honestly, they might also call that Pridwin in the same way that you've got, like, New York City, New York.
Yeah.
The Shining Citadel is just it's a distinct version of the name. So, if there's scrying spells happening, let me know when, what, on whom. If anybody is traveling somewhere or doing something within Deep Thicket, let me know. If you want to try to coordinate anything, if you want to try to just help with whatever preparations are being made locally.
I think Alaris will help around with what's happening locally, unless Alsana or someone has need of Alaris's assistance.
All right. So, unless something specific comes up, Bellaris, you spend however many days it may be, pretty much shoring up defenses. You help.
Yeah, training the locals.
Oh, they don't need any further training.
Okay. Yeah.
But what they do need is things like moving supplies, creating barricades, creating occasional traps. You learn how to set a number of humanoid-sized snares, pit traps, nasty little tripwires in the underbrush. By the time you're done, there is practically a maze running about from the outpost where you first met Nishandra and Barian outwards for about probably 500 feet. There's just... you almost can't walk for risk of caltrops or dangling from a treetop or finding yourself 10 feet in the ground, possibly on a spike. You know the way through them because you've helped with them so much, but you probably actually help them rig up a few things. They don't have much in the way of crossbows. They, as a culture, as a group, seem to very much favor either a hunting bow or a longbow. But you do manage to find a couple that are in decent condition, and you help rig up some traps with the equivalent of rough pressure plates in the form of tripwires, where it'll just shoot off a couple of bolts. It's not going to fell entire swaths of people, but with luck and in a large group, it could take somebody out. And at the very least, sow some confusion.
As a note for when they're going out and setting traps and stuff like that, This might change because I might be deciding other things Asana's doing before this, but just while it's a topic now. Asana would be willing to basically go around with the trappers and basically be slapping down plant growths every which way she like they want to.
Okay. All right. They probably have a few spellcasters who at least have druidcraft, and those are doing their best, but plant growth definitely helps.
Yep.
And in fact, you may be directed to do kind of larger bursts of plant growth out beyond the trap so that maybe people are slowed down
Yep,
and
exactly that.
have trouble fighting through, and so they burst through the end of it and directly into trapland.
Yep. She can do like on a trip because she's more than willing to use 3rd and 4th level spells. She can do 600-foot radius.
Okay. All right. So you are able to create a wide arc of overgrown plant life. There's the occasional joking comment about how long it's going to take to hack through all of that when all of this is over, but it's at least an optimistic one. Because it very much carries the implication that, yeah, this is going to be fine, and when all of this is over, oh boy, the cleanup.
Just wanted to get that in before I else, because could be doing other things, but
All right. Anybody else have any immediate plans?
Again, my understanding is we're going to check on prison before anything else. Until then, Kane is going to do his best to see where there's kind of what the outline of the forest looks like, basically, the direction they're probably going to be attacked from, and what sort of natural features can be kind of exploited through that. Whether there's
Alright.
like places where the trees are dipped further in, you can hide in the trees and attack from the sides, etc., stuff like that.
It is a forest. The trees deeper in where you guys are absolutely massive. They are enormous compared to the ones on the outskirts, which are more of an ordinary size and stature. So you have somewhat varied terrain in that respect. In a sense, the further in you go, the more almost open and park-like the forest floor becomes due to just the care that is taken of it by the people living there. And also just due to the sheer enormity and the distance between tree trunks, because they can't grow that close together. So basically you have a situation where, aside from Alsana's plant growth, for the most part the area immediately around the village it's not clear. But it's relatively clear from just like tree trunks perspective.
open for this area.
Open for this area, but with, if you imagine like enormous cylindrical towers dotted all over the place that would probably provide an ample amount of cover, but also would take a long time to go around.
And how dense is the foliage?
Overhead or on the ground?
Overhead.
Pretty dense. This entire area is well shaded. There's dappled light that comes through, but aside from the very occasional glade where maybe some branches have fallen, maybe an entire tree went down a long time ago and there's just a stump, aside from those, you don't have a lot of natural sunlight coming through.
Okay. He'll try to seek out whoever is the closest thing to a general of these people that he can.
That would be the chief warden.
Okay, he'll knock on the door and put the helmet on.
Mhm.
And just wait to be let in.
She is actually not inside for some of this, but you probably do catch her at a moment. So, alright, she looks up, she gestures you inside. And what can I do for you?
Well, seeing as I'm not the one who's capable of large-scale transport, unless you need some heavy stuff moved. I'm
Oh, there's
just
quite a bit of heavy things to move, but
and I'll probably lend a hand with that, but I'm just curious until I possibly have to leave with my group for a couple days. Can I inquire what your defenses are like and hopefully put in some kind of input? I have a lot of knowledge of slash and burn tactics and what the enemy might be using.
our defenses are largely magical, but we also have good ranged capabilities. We are not much for pitched battle, though. We are
That makes sense.
relying on traps, on things that slow the enemy advance to take advantage of range and arrow shot. That being said, we are full of our own tricks, and this forest is both our home and our ally.
In the foliage, do you by chance have things like resupply points, little almost bases full of arrows and a place to run back to if small sections of your people need to retreat while attacking?
We have the outposts. They are our outer wall, or the closest we have to it. We have traps set. We have been creating arrows as quickly as possible and caching them at various points.
And I have to
There
ask,
is not much to fall back to. We have no bulky castles or
no, of
heavy
course not,
walls.
but you do have a complicated structure that most people couldn't get up to, especially in armor. Little, I don't know a better word for it, but tree houses, where people could sit inside, resupply, get armored, bind wounds, have basic medical care. Having that, whatever, harrying tactics, all the way basically to the outskirts, it would be a big benefit to guerrilla fighting, so you won't have to worry supplies on hand as opposed to accessible. But that's a. I'll leave the logistics of that, the necessity of that, up to you.
She just holds up a hand. We have not the time or resources to build more outposts to the edges of the forest, if that is what you are suggesting.
No.
If all you are suggesting, however, is a plan of retreat should things go poorly, know that all of our people know the ways of the forest. We can
Yes.
scatter, and we can hide.
And my secondary question is, what defenses do you have against fire? Against them taking a few barrels of oil, setting a few of the larger trees alight, letting the foliage burn.
At this, she gives a slow smile that widens. She leans forward, beckons you close, and then whispers, "Magic!" and gives you a wink.
I fear most of my questions have been answered like that at this point.
I make light of the situation. In truth, it is more complicated than that. The
I won't
type
ask
of
for
power.
details.
I will give you this much. I am the only one here who would be able to call upon a storm heavy enough to douse a fire that is potentially fueled by magic itself. It will take much from me.
And
If
what
I am pressed to that, I may not be able to aid further. But then I am not a frontlines fighter anymore. I haven't been for years, and even in my prime, I prefer to stay back. Still, will give what support I can until I have nothing more to give.
And do you specifically you have defenses against assassins? People who would rush in to make sure that you're not a problem?
A small group of wardens have volunteered to stay with me. They will need to if it comes to the kind of power I would have to call upon for any great damage. They are there in case I overexert myself and collapse, and they will serve in case anything comes too close or thinks to focus upon me.
Alright. And, I guess I'll just ask you. In the short term, where am I most useful? Where do you think I would serve best? My greatest strength is might of arm and a deep reservoir of endurance. So, what can I lend a hand with?
In the immediacy, there are many traps to set, many pits to dig. When the time comes, play to your own strengths, but an extra bow upon the walls and the platforms would be welcome. I see that you carry at least one.
And that does actually remind me of one question I wanted to ask. I have a weapon that, to my knowledge, is natural but cursed in some way. Is there anything you can do to purify it?
Allow me to see this weapon.
And he'll take out the Sword of Thorns.
Pass it over. She takes it very carefully and balances it upon her palms, turns it in the light and examines it. You hear her whisper something under her breath. You see a faint shimmer of light extend from her fingertips and spread across it very briefly. She hums to herself. This would be a fairly simple thing to fix. Not with mortal magic, but with a little bit of focus, a little bit of time, and a place of power. Unfortunately for you, there is one such place here. Might I borrow this sword for a day? I have
Please do.
need to visit this location.
Please do. And is there anything I can offer in exchange for this favor?
You offer enough by offering your arm and your strength, should need come. But if I were to ask one thing, when that day comes, if our defenses fail, if our preparations are not enough, do not throw your life away in the fight, but make sure as many of our people as possible get out, especially the little ones.
Of course. I wouldn't do anything less. In that case, I'll make sure I get that sword. It has a number of capabilities that would make that far easier. And if I'm good at anything, it's delaying enemies. So, I'll
To
use my
that
weapon
end,
to do that.
to that end, go and help with preparations, if you will. Come back to me tomorrow in the evening. It will take me the day to make the trip and do what I must and come back again. I will have your sword for you.
And apologies in advance that I'm late. Not sure where the next few days will take me. But in every sense of the word, for now, my weapon is yours, and I'm yours to be a weapon. I'll do what I can.
Still very formal. She reaches over and ting ting on the weapon with her fingertips. Not on the weapon, on your helmet.
Okay.
Yep.
It just smiles like it's, I have a bit of a personality issue, so when in doubt, politeness can rarely go wrong.
Not a bad philosophy to have, if a little overdramatic at times. But then
Although,
we do live in a very dramatic time ourselves. It's not fully amiss. But enough of that. Go on, off with you. You've got young bones and things to do. You don't need to spend all your time with a little old thing like me.
well, my spirit may be young, but my bones are old and creaky as yours, I'm sure. I'm gonna go seek out my resident magic user. He nods and makes his way out. And he's gonna look for Asana.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Alsana, where are you?
If
Let's
this
say
is-
this was the first day.
yeah, I was gonna say, if
so...
this is the first day,
Mhm.
once that little meeting is done and people kind of go on their way, she's gonna give a scry on herself.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Scry on other Alsana. Let me go ahead and pull open the correct sheet. Oh heck, which I've got so many folders. There it is. They're all nested in each other. Okay, okay. So, any particular time of day that you are scrying?
This would probably be in morning to noon, if it's after that conversation we had with the chief last session.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I believe we're still on the 6th of the month. I think, because I think that I've been changing it each time it's been night. So, get a little wisdom saving throw. Should be, yep. Okay. Pull out the mirror. You look into it. You cast your spell. With your safety DC of, was it 21
Total, yes, 21.
with yourself? Okay.
Because it's the likeness, right? With -2.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You look into the mirror. And the spell has no effect. Only your own face looks back.
Gee, it's almost like scrying on a druid is difficult.
Yes, but it's like now is the best time for it.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Could she talk to find someone in the elves? She wants to know the name of the king or the current leader of the Shining Citadel.
Okay. Alright. I'll say that after asking around a while, it's not as simple as walking up to the first person you see, hey, who's the king of Pridwin, and
Yep.
immediately you have a name.
Oh, no, she's
they're
asking
pretty
around.
isolated, but someone eventually is bound to know. So, let me just make sure I got the name right.
Oh, Mike made
You
noise.
you're told the name Arminius II.
Okay.
Told that he's young. They don't really have a numerical age. They just know that he is human, and by human standards, he's young. By elven standards, he's a baby. But you are told the name. You do not have a likeness. Nobody here has ever seen him. They're a little short on history books, to be honest, and anything like a wood print or anything like that. So unfortunately, you do only have the name.
Okay.
So are you attempting to scry upon the young king?
She's gonna give a check group for that. So this would
Okay.
probably be the time where she runs in again.
Alright. So, Kane. As you're looking for Alsana, Alsana is looking for, maybe not specifically you, but you and the others.
Oh, there you are. Do you know where the others
Yeah.
went? I need to ask you all something.
No clue. We're not going to Pridwin today, or?
That's what I'm asking.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
The way my magic's gone, I could attempt to possibly get us to Bridwind. I would need to look in on someone from Bridwind because I've never been there before.
Can you not just look at the place?
I have not been there before.
Alright. Well, does that have to be a person?
Yes, it has to be a creature I've at least heard of, or
A
a
creature or
place.
a person?
A creature.
Um,
Don't try to offer solutions. I know what my options are.
okay, I was just thinking the hag is probably somewhere over there. But
What?
where else would the hag be? Still, may not be the Howling Plains, it's still a place of power.
No, this side.
Yeah. Does she not have a double?
No, that's humanoids.
Alright.
Glad to see you've been paying attention with this whole stuff. What I can do is I can either attempt right now to view an Impridwind, and should I be successful in looking in on someone, probably the current leading king, and should he happen to be passing by a tree, we can maybe get there, and it would be difficult to actually be showing up there because it'd be the same situation as when we dropped in on Nishandra. But even less so because I'm less trustworthy of that whole ordeal. Alternatively, we could go to the place that I saw. Well, actually, no. Wait, no. I'm not even that. Alternatively, I could bring us somewhere that I've been before here, and then bring us back.
Alright. And is there no chance that a place like Resmond, where we have a piece of it? we can
I'm
look
not
into?
dealing with this right now. I'm finding the rest of the group. And she walks off and looking for them. You can follow me if you want to talk about this.
I'm gonna lend a hand. When you figure out a solution, come tell me.
Conrad, I am trying to get the party's opinion.
You are able to ask around, and you are pointed towards the outskirts where Ilaris is just starting to help with the beginning of the first layer of traps.
Mhm.
The last line of them, once
Yeah.
they're all done. Calda, it is up to you where you might be. It is the first day of preparations.
Switching out of that mode is very difficult.
Yeah.
See, at some point, Alsana is gonna have to get used to the fact that Kane doesn't know shit.
Alright. They definitely could use some strong arms, and Mori is just in the middle of everything.
He's moral support.
Mori support. Anyhow, you're able to find Calda because as she is lifting things that are the size of her entire body up over her head with ease, she's kind of being tailed by a gaggle of half a dozen elvish and half-elvish children of varying ages, from what looks like the equivalent of a 4 or 5-year-old holding onto an older sibling's sleeve to kids that might be the equivalent of preteens of 11, 12, maybe 13. And they're just watching in awe as this halfling who is their size is lifting things that they know are way too heavy, because occasionally after she sets something down where it needs to be and goes to get something else, one of the taller, bigger ones will go up to it and just kind of and try to lift it.
Alsana will approach. Seems you've got quite the following.
I'll
She
say
is
for
the
this-
mountain after all.
I'll say for this, Ilaris is maybe only 10 feet away. So you've got everybody in the same place.
Oh yeah, don't know what they're saying. They're impressed though. Yeah, Alsana will just... Lars!
Yeah.
Over here, real quick. Quick
Okay.
conversation.
He's gonna walk over.
Alright. Kane was painfully ambivalent.
Uh-huh.
I have two options right now, and I'm wanting an opinion on it.
Okay.
Really, it's my current idea is attempting to scry the leader of the Shining Citadel, hoping I
Okay.
see a tree, and then maybe have us drop into his personal garden or something.
Okay.
Which already is messy in and of itself, but
Risky.
additionally, if their path through there is cleared, I'm wondering about allegiances.
Yes.
Secondly, with the magic I have left in the day, I could potentially bring us somewhere we've already been here and back.
Mm,
But
it's
I
tough to say.
but I am unsure of if anywhere would be directly helpful. We could make a stop by Threshold.
Could, but what would we find there? Do we know what's going on there?
Will get us arrested, which is difficult because you know our faces. Go to Threshold and ask for everyone. That's what I'm wondering is if we can get anything in Threshold to aid us, and getting information from them now early going forward would probably be helpful.
Yeah. It's tough.
I could also just try to scry on other people, but I'm at a loss for directly useful subjects.
Yeah.
I've already attempted myself, and I did call this kid earlier today, and Calder's probably still at Sanctuary.
Mhm.
That's fair. Insight from Threshold. These are a insulated people where we are, but Threshold would probably have a much better understanding of the goings on at Shining Citadel and the potential for the Nightingales worming their way in.
Is there anyone here that we could bring that could up our chances of getting a dialogue with the leader of Citadel? Because if we go by ourselves, then we have very little chances of them not immediately being hostile.
Yes, that's the other thing. Perhaps we should at least wait for the next day, such that we can potentially go to Citadel, and then also have me quickly get us out of Citadel.
Yeah.
Also, perhaps getting a quick update to Threshold on the goings on would probably be good.
Definitely.
The keepers.
Yes.
Sneakier ones. How do you mean? In Aloris?
Not even. It's not here.
Where are you going with that? Perhaps. Again, I'm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even certain. I'm not even sure we want to. A direct dialogue with the leader would be the best thing to do here. I want to know what the hell is going on there.
Yeah, he might give us a bureaucratic response.
He might have his allegiances and keep it rather well to himself, and I don't think we're about to be allowed to
Yeah.
cast truth magic on the king as some
that
random
doesn't-
walkers in.
Yeah.
Last thing we need is them asking us to remove our masks, one way or the other, of their allegiance.
Yeah. Especially the way we look like and who we look like now.
Yes,
Current reputations.
may just be political jargon instead of an actual purpose. Would we really speak with these random people? Also, if he's too young, as people are saying, he may not know anything. That just, I want to know. I want to give a look into Citadel. Mainly because I want to believe it's just some odd political plan and there's just a few politicians being paid off by the Nightingales, rather than it currently being overrun by a horde of undead.
How close can we get to the Shining Citadel?
I don't.
Perhaps there's something we can do in the city too.
The way I can get us places is I have to either have seen a place before, so if we're trying to go to a place we haven't been before on this side, then that's a no-go. Or I need to have heard of someone who we believe to be in that location and they be by a tree. Which is why I want information on Citadel and why I'm iffy on us maybe giving a look in on the king and then probably plopping into his personal garden.
Yeah. Because as far as first impressions go, bamfing into his personal garden or something of the like, not recommended.
We don't even have the goodwill that is warning them of an incoming attack.
Exactly.
Because I suppose we could, but again, if there's something happening behind the scenes, it's far much more of a risk.
We don't know how many of those elders are in the pocket of the Nightingale.
Look in him or a council member or two, but maybe go to Threshold tonight, rest there, scry then return. That could work.
That could work. Yeah.
I could bring us back to Threshold. We could ask around. I'll stick with the king, but if there's any advisors or heck, if there's anyone that the keepers know and trust that are by or near in or near Citadel, that could be an option. I think that's the best way to go.
I think that is the best. Good talk.
Or do 2 scribes, 1 tonight since we are traveling back until tomorrow. Yes, I'm less concerned about my magics of tomorrow. Though frankly, just as an open option, but I don't have anything particular in mind for it. I do. We would need a magical implement to do it. So maybe the keepers have one. Maybe the people in Deep they could have one, but I could, in theory, if we had a tuning fork attuned to a particular plane, I could bring us there.
A lot of typing happening.
Yeah.
And Kane got something to say. Yeah, I don't believe I've ever dropped a tuning fork as loot.
Don't believe so either.
Yeah.
Yeah, not yet.
No. So I
Also-
believe that you would need 2 tuning forks, one for another plane
Yeah,
and
that's
then
very
one
true.
for material. So you'd have to go. You'd have to do it back and forth. I don't think you can use plane shift as teleportation with
Yep.
the same thing. So
Unless I know unless I know the sequence of a teleportation circle on this plane.
okay.
I
That's
mean-
written in there.
That's a higher possibility.
I don't believe that Delsana knows any sequences for teleportation circles.
I don't think we've
in
run into
this
anyone.
World.
Oh yeah, no, I just mean like it's possible that someone that we can speak to knows a teleportation circle as opposed to our likelihood of the king walking by a tree.
Who knows? Okay, well, either way, I think heading to Threshold now is a good call. Just, and maybe plane hopping is a fun pastime, but for now, I'd say go grab Kane, and I'll go let the chief know where we're heading for now. Maybe Maybe if they have anything they want to say to the keepers. Yes, that's fair. So, yeah, if one of you could go fetch Kane, let's meet up back at the room we were given. I'm gonna go talk to the chief for just a moment.
Okay.
Unless any of you want to come with me as well for that.
Kane is probably just back where he was, just carrying shit and help setting up traps.
Mhm.
He's got at least vague experience hunting, so if it's based in that kind of thing, he's probably good at it.
All right. After a minute, Mori comes bounding over and starts
He just picks her up,
between
puts
the
him on his
legs.
shoulder.
Yep.
Just, it's okay, I'll go find him in a second. And he heaves open, like, what I imagine is like a giant-ass bear trap on the ground, like, alright, cool.
Alsona and Calder are heading to the chief. Is Alar's coming with us?
I suppose so.
Alright. Yep, 3 of us head to the chief.
All right. You find her pretty much where Kane left her. You would notice that the Sword of Thorns sheathed is resting on a small table next to her.
Alsona walks in. Hi, if you have a moment.
I've had a number of visitors today, it seems.
I
And
can't,
what is on your mind?
can't imagine why. Off the top of my head, first of all, is that Kane's? And she points over there.
It is. He entrusted it to me to solve a small problem it has.
Oh, it did always have an odd smell to it. Magically, at least. A
I'm
bit.
surprised you didn't follow up on it if you noticed.
She's kind of tilts her head. He never particularly asked me about it.
Well, in that case, know that it's going to be taken care of.
Oh.
But, for
What do
your
you
own
What do you want to try, Calder?
You would want to cast Remove Curse on the sword. Let's see. I didn't prepare for that possibility, but I should have because it's an obvious one.
See, Kane doesn't know about that spell, so he was
It's-
never going to ask about it.
The way I have it, it's technically not a curse. However, I really feel like that spell might cover. Huh.
It could at least cover the whole waking up covered in thorns thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alright. I'm going to say that, we didn't talk about it very much because Kane started just shoving it into the bag of holding and then it was never mentioned again.
Yep.
Alright. I'll say that you cast Remove Curse. And you see there's a little bit of a hiss, almost like water splattering onto a hot pan. You see a faint shimmer in the air above the sword, as if something dissipated. The Chief Warden hums, reaches over, touches the sword and examines it for a moment, then nods to you. Very nicely done. I will still take it with me tomorrow and give it a proper cleaning. It should take care of any lingering issues. One more Remove Curse. It doesn't hiss again, but it's not perfect yet. There's just one little thing that's not a curse, but it is a warping.
There's a bit of a desecration on that, and that's... It's not directly cursing, I don't think. Also scratches the back of her head. This thing was always vague with me.
It's possible it may have been developing into a curse. Such magics sometimes have blurred borders. Humanoids do like to categorize things that sometimes defy categorization. That being said,
Sorry,
there's
I
always...
just missed the last 15 seconds. Quick recap.
Basically, that's okay.
Okay. Humans categorizing.
Yep.
Just All right.
It might have been becoming a curse. There might have been a gray area in between.
Okay. Just not. Well, give it a good scrubbing, I guess. So, consecration, as it were.
Such things never hurt.
Where are you taking it, might I ask? Out of the forest?
No, within the forest. A place that we know and we guard and we keep safe.
Doesn't have anything to do with like a silver stag, does it?
She gives you a bit of a quick look. You know the stories, then?
Nods.
It may a bit.
Well, I'm not sure how. And she kind of looks at the sword. And twisted, my stories I know have gotten.
We will have time afterwards to untangle the twists.
That's fair. Well, whatever lies there, give it my regards. What's a favorite story of mine?
I will do so. Now, I doubt you were here to talk about this sword.
Yes, got a bit distracted. We are, with the magic I have left for today, we think it best to return back to Threshold, temporarily at least. For the
Very
evening and morning, probably returning back later. We're looking for information on Pridwind and the Citadel from people who are a bit less isolated. No offense.
None taken.
But to that end, this incursion coming through the forest is to do with them, and as well, we are here. We are allied with them, so let's work with you. Was there anything you would like us to relay?
Nothing I could think of, except that if they are able and willing to send any help, we will be willing to open our borders to them for this instance.
Would there be a particular spot to send them, I guess?
Well, if they will not be coming with you, then as long as they enter the forest, we will find them.
Alright.
We'll be keeping an eye on things. No group of travelers or warriors would come in without us noticing.
I'll bring who I can, but I don't know the numbers they'd be willing to send, if any. But trees will only stay open for so long, I suppose.
Yes. The numbers or the availability. But it is worth an attempt.
Alright. Well, then we'll be off. Thank you for everything up until this point.
I wish you
Ask her
well.
if she could cast the spell.
Oh, right, a little birdie was being very annoying in my ear. You asked of my capabilities in my magic. Where is yours?
Probably in a similar realm. Perhaps a little bit more developed. I've had a much longer time to exercise myself.
I would hope so.
I cannot point to anything in particular. Why do you ask?
I suppose choices and decisions, if we're to make the most of these 7 days. Or less. And if perhaps you could send us somewhere, if there's any sort of preparatory anything.
Sending you somewhere. I could send you from a tree to a tree, but I have not seen many trees outside of the deep thicket in recent times. If you mean any other magics, I am limited somewhat in supplies for some of them. And I am no wizard or arcane practitioner able to simply snap and send somebody from one circle to another.
Nods. Um. I assume you know of. Well, I guess first of all, is this place? What's its relation with the Feywild?
With the Feywild, uh, hardly any relation at all. If you wished the Feywild, I would travel north to Wistman's Wood.
Nods. Just a wonder if things are different across sides.
Hmm.
Certain attunements might shift. Not sure.
Are you hoping for a particular planar influence, or?
I'm considering options. She like thinks for a second. Have a friend in the Feywild?
Ah, unfortunately, we are not going to be of much help here. Our ties are more to the Beastlands.
Real quick, what's also to know about these lands?
Go ahead and roll a quick Arcana check.
Sure thing, guys.
'Kay.
Ooh. 16.
16. The Beastlands is one of the lesser known planes, one of the ones that have smaller influences. However, you've probably heard enough rumors growing up in Tanagar, which is sort of a hunting waypoint sort of town, that it's almost this rumored hunter's paradise of a plane. Beyond that, there's not really much lore about it. It doesn't appear in a lot of stories. It doesn't have that same
It's not as ubiquitous
broad.
as the Feywild.
Yeah, it doesn't have that same broad story or heroic quality as something like Feywild, Shadowfell, even the Elemental Planes. There's not really any major religions based around it like Celestial or even Fiendish Planes. It's just kind of a little pocket that eventually comes up.
Also, I might have looked into it with her wild shaping stuff, or is that less?
It's not going to help you with the wild shaping stuff. It's not so much that there are strange creatures, it's that it is a place of untrammeled wildlife. But not in an especially mystical way, not in the way of the Feywild. It's mostly just tales of how, the giant creatures of Deep Thicket are the norm there, and you can hunt anything all day, any day, and you're able to track anything through any sort of underbrush, and
Yep. Just nods like, oh, right. I had suspicions with that in the story. I'll have to look into it more when things are done. Alright, yeah. Just a wonder. That's all. And it looks to the other two. Anything else from you two?
That I
Velka? My nose has been itching recently, by the way, Ariel. I think you infected me.
sorry.
With
We're
allergies?
talking about it.
Summon allergies would be a great spell.
Horrible.
Tasha said he is sneezing.
You dehydrate them, making it all come out their face. Their face can look
Alright.
good. Just for complimenting. Be a nice force guest.
Yes. You want to roll a quick charisma check? Go for it.
With Alsana's passive insight, does she notice Calder's trying something here? Like just making a conceited effort to be nice?
Rolled us up with 13. Okay. You're polite. And the Chief Warden nods and thanks you.
Alright. Well, I think we'll take our leave then. Oh, Calder sent some. Alright.
Okay.
Yep. And, go to head out.
Okay.
She'll give, just as we're exiting, a quick glance for those kids, Nishandra's kids, that we've seen before.
Alright, go ahead and just roll me a d20.
Sure. 16.
Alright, you do actually spot a couple of the two boys, along with a group of, I'd say 3 other kids, looking like they're about similar age range. You probably saw some of those faces following Calder around earlier.
Yep.
And they are kind of hanging out, not quite in the way, and watching the entrance of the warden's main building that you are coming out of.
Yeah. Alsana gives a glance over to them. Just floats over. And just walks up to the 2 from before. And just so, how were the masks?
Mom washed them off.
Oh,
They were kind of itchy.
that's
We
the
had to
trouble.
stick-
You have to make ones that are, and she just kind of like taps her own, a bit take offable. Keep the shape.
Yeah, I couldn't really do that. We just kind of stuck the leaves on with some sap and mud.
Have you tried a bit of string, maybe?
No?
Oh, it can work. Just do some lines, maybe some sticks. You just gotta kind of put them beside each other. Put the string in between them.
Okay. Hey Luke, come on, let's go try that. Okay. And the older one takes the younger one by the hand and they run off together.
Also gives a glance at the rest of them. Some of you were following short one back there, yes? The little mountain?
Yeah. She's really strong. I tried to carry the stuff she was carrying and I couldn't even move it. That's called a see this tiny bit behind your back.
Yep.
Maybe rolling up one sleeve with her eyes fixed on your
Rolls up the metal plate armor.
It's Calder. If anyone could.
She doesn't wear plate armor, but yeah. There's chainmail being rolled somehow.
Okay. She just kind of like winces at that slightly and just. Just winces that slightly and just. You know, she's actually never been defeated in a wrestling match.
Oh, no way. No, nuh-uh. Has she ever wrestled? Look around and point at Alaris. Him?
Looks over. I think she's picked him up a few times.
We're not doing that.
Or him? And points back at where Kane is finally heading over with Mori on his head.
Yeah.
Also looks over. Oh, he's tried many times.
Nuh-uh.
Also, so Kane just realized something. So as he kind of approaches the party and just with the helmet on,
Mhm.
casts comprehend languages on himself, puts the helmet on Calda, and just goes, just cast the spell on yourself. It just lets you cast. It just lets you cast the spell and takes your own concentration. It's not attunement.
Oh my god, nice. Alright.
Uh, yeah, and he's like, oh, hello there. We were just talking about how, you've never defeated the Little Mountain.
Oh yeah. I
No
using
way!
I tried using a pickaxe once. It didn't work. I thought the mountain title was all it took.
I don't believe you. You're making stuff up. She's strong, but you're big.
Yeah.
Also
Um,
leans over. Yes, you have a name, and it's very not good to say aloud.
He just kind of like crouches down and goes like, here's the trick. Yeah. He just crouches down at the kids and just goes, there is a wonderful trick that all halflings learn at a very young age.
Kane, I need you to make an athletics or
He wa-
acrobatics check
yeah.
as Calder makes an athletics check.
He
Please.
was about to explain the concept of the fact that all the power comes to your legs and knees.
Yep,
So-
and there's about to be a... Oh, Kane, you
He
keep
has
your
low
balance!
he has low center of gravity this time. That's all
Yep.
the only reason why.
Brace yourself as Calder impacts
Side note.
what would have been your knees, but is now
Can
like
we try
your
something
lower
for
back.
fun?
Yeah.
Could Alsana have guidance called on the way?
It still wouldn't have changed anything.
It might have broke neutral.
Which means nothing changes between I'm standing up and she pushed it against me.
Yes, but
I'm going to say that if you want to tap Calder with guidance, you can do so now, but it'll be on whatever next check there may be.
Okay,
Kane,
that
you may
works.
finish your sentence.
He just kind of like presses the shoulder against her, holding her back. Like, see, here's the trick. Low center of gravity usually wins, and she can get a lot lower than I can.
All right, go ahead and make a second roll because Calder is trying again with your guidance. Oh, Kane, you almost hold on, but at that last moment, there is a sudden surge in Calder's grip and pressure, and
Alsana gives a wave at that.
you may or may not see this because it happens very quickly as you get flipped head over heels, and you do a full rotation in midair and then slam down onto your back.
He just like breathes out, just like, oh Christ, I wasn't arguing with you. Why?
Demonstration.
We could have done it in so many
Also
other
looks.
ways.
Also looks to kids. Well, I think there's some applause deserved.
Show me how to do that.
Oh no, we have so many things to get done. Please.
Please show me how you do that.
It's very simple. Low center of gravity. The lower you are, the harder it is to balance. So when someone is larger than you, if you take their legs, what are they going to stand on?
The tallest kid crouches down and starts scuttling towards your knees.
Yep, he stands up and he'll let the kid push because it'll probably work, honestly. Because unfortunately, that's how that stuff works. He basically explains:
Yeah.
take your left hand, put it behind the knee, take your right hand and push back on the ankle. Just watch them collapse.
There's actually a pretty good heave from this kid.
Yeah, like the knee buckles, and he's like, yeah, then he like catches himself. It's like, no, keep in mind, and he places his hand on the kid's like forehead. If you're not paying attention, I can still just smack you.
No, you couldn't. I'd throw you too fast.
That is very possible. However, I am very tired and need to get things done. So
Aww.
Here's another thing. We'll leave you with this.
no,
Do you all know what a push-up is?
sure they know what a push-up
No.
is. What do you know what a push-up is? What kind of training do you guys get here? Hold on.
They have a longer
Crunch,
lifespan gain.
probably.
Yeah, but like, okay, forget that lesson. The more important lesson is, you remember that knife I gave you guys?
That was
You didn't-
those two ran
nope.
off.
Oh,
Those
other
two
one?
were gone.
Okay.
Yes. Nope.
Okay, in that case he goes, okay. The real trick is, if you have a knife, the best use it is for wrestling. Okay? You're not going to walk up to someone with a sword and take a knife. If you really want to win a fight and you have to get up close to someone, also have a knife because it makes wrestling.
Kane, we're
easier.
just talking about picking things up.
We have bigger priorities right now.
Yes, and you're still talking.
So let's go.
Just show them what a push-up is real quick.
How about you show them what a push-up is?
Fine. she does one. She can do one.
As he watches her crouch down, it's like, okay, your form is totally wrong. Put your arms close together. You're doing the wussy push-ups.
Yep.
Palms beneath your shoulders. Let's go.
Yep. And she does her best.
Yep. He'll just like place a foot on her back and just like, all right, go ahead.
Roll a disadvantaged athletics check, Althana.
All right.
Recall him help by taking his other knee.
As she kneels down, she does the sign of the cross.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
My passive athletics is higher than that, so
Yeah. Also, your foot's on my back.
yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
All right. Now take the foot off.
He leaves the boot on and takes the foot off.
No, he doesn't. You're in armor.
Yeah, you can just unbuckle it.
Thank you.
Roll an athletics check.
Fuck you.
Hmm. The one time.
Yeah, that's how I feel. If I play a strong character, this is what happens to me.
I like how literally like second 1 to second 2 you go, hurry up, we have to go. Also, I'm gonna put my boot on the back of your on your back so this takes longer.
Because if Alsana's going to take the time to force him to do a push-up for this, he's going to make her work for it.
She's doing her own push-up.
Yeah, she's going to take the time for that. Might as well make it fun.
God.
Seeing
It's
Calda go
siblings.
for Kane again, all the kids look at each other, look at Kane, and shout, "Get him!" And Kane, there is
Oh,
a
correct.
sudden doggy pile of 3 different tiny elvish child bodies on your various ankles. So I'm just gonna roll
Triple athletics check. Triple advantage,
One.
basically.
-2 because they are weak. There's the equivalent of an athletics check of 8
I can't roll lower than that.
against
so.
your knees. Yep, you don't even budge.
He just grabs them both by the back of the shirts, places them on the ground, and just go, okay, now we do actually have to go. Practice on each other. Don't use knives unless there's a good reason to use a knife. Let's go.
You have the actual list, and Alsana keeps the boot.
He shrugs, pulls a boot out of his bag.
Do you need to roll for that?
I do.
Roll for it.
God damn it.
It is
It's the wrong foot.
it's the wrong foot, and there's a massive hole in the toe.
Shrugs. Trade you.
Alsana keeps walking, walks over to the nearest tree.
He will run after her and rip the boot out of her hand.
Where are they right now? Of note?
Hmm?
Where are they right now?
You not too far from the nearest tree.
Yes. Are we
Of
on the
course.
platforms above?
No, you're on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not wrestling. We're not teaching kids to wrestle 30 feet off the ground. Are you kidding me?
I'm sure
You
they've
guys
done
were-
worse. If
You
that's
guys
how
Fine,
were
you
in
Shane's
set
not
that
battle.
up.
willing to.
You guys have been helping, or some of you have been helping with trap setting on the ground level. So that's pretty much where you came from. That's pretty much where you've been.
Yep.
Yep.
Calda, you have kind of you've been adventuring for a little while now.
Yeah. Basically, if Alsana sees Kane coming up towards her for the boot, she just throws it in a random direction.
You can't throw it as far as Kane could run, so I promise you that's fine.
Yeah, she's just gonna make him run, and then she casts transport via plants.
Kane, you run, you grab the boot, you don't have time to pull it back on. The tree is opening, you're gonna have to run back and through.
As he's running through, he throws the spare boot at the back of Alsana's head.
Sorry, through the tree.
So when he gets at the other side, he'll throw the boot at the back of Alsana's head.
Oh god. Give me a quick dexterity check. Okay.
At disadvantage.
Oh, it is a disadvantage because it's a makeshift. Okay, 21.
20, no,
I'm
23
pretty sure-
is the +1, +2.
Yeah, that hits the back of your head, Alsana.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of a heavy impact, actually.
Yep. And she takes the forward. What was that?
My boot.
What level spell am I willing to use right here?
Oh my god, guys.
He just looks to Calda and just... No. Also, you tried to tackle me while I was helping on a demonstration. Come on.
I feel
Oh.
like I should have had this going this
I
entire
thought that
time.
was my phone for a second. It was very confusing.
I don't have anything fun right now. Never
I
mind.
thought someone had just like opened Animal Crossing for whatever reason.
Yeah, right?
Mid-session, like what the hell's going on?
Mm,
I look at Colin, it's like, I'm your kid, and I also wanted to laugh, therefore. Boom.
All right, they come out. They come out in Threshold. I'm not taking longer with this.
yep. You make a little bit of a scene, but yeah, 4 masked people. You walk in, and people look away as you retrieve boots, and Kane puts his back on. Where would you like to go, and what would you like to do?
Alsana's going to go find. Okay, I was gonna ask for the music. I can
Got
not
it.
talk to people with this on.
I have it.
What's his name? What's his name? Where is it? Yeah, the guy we talked to, not the dragon.
Philarion?
Yes, Falarian.
Okay. Alright. You are able to be directed to him, and you head on up. He greets you at from inside of a small office, where it seems he's been going over some various reports, with a bit of a worried crease in his brow. He looks up. Oh, good, you're here.
Oh, there's something that's good for us being here.
What?
All right.
It's perplexing.
Is it in Citadel by any chance?
Is it what?
Is it in Citadel by any chance?
Well, yes, actually.
Well, we both have information for each other.
Unfortunately, I don't have much information. Just that Just that apparently Pridwen has announced that they are standing down from any further conflicts due to internal affairs.
That's what it is. No, it's not.
In addition, they are postponing the imminent coronation of young Arminius II.
Also, just like bites her up.
It wasn't that much of a surprise, to be perfectly honest. It was surprising when
with
they
the
were
Nightingales.
pressing forward. Oh.
She sits down. They're marching from Sanctuary. Through Pridwind, up through Deep
Oh.
Thicket.
Wait, Deep Thicket?
Nods. We just came from there.
Why would they be going to the shrine?
Potentially.
If not, do you really want to be surrounded on 4 sides? They have Deep Thicket, they have every access to this lake, every river.
They
except
just
for
set out this
South
morning.
That is not good.
Additionally, my counterpart has just found a way to ignore the properties of Deathbell.
I'm sorry, she what?
Nods. And she did it in Pridwind.
But... Oh.
I don't know how, but it's the state of affairs.
Oh.
You can talk with the being of death if you'd like.
I will not ask, and I will refrain. Tell me, what do you know of the late Queen of Pridwen? Of her death in particular? I recall mentioning some things. I'm not sure you were told anything else.
It was vague at best, an offhand mention, from my memory at least.
An assassination, which we had
Right, among others.
suspected. We'd suspected the Nightingale Alliance of at least... Well, at the very least, they benefited from it in the moment. They never claimed responsibility, and there was nothing concrete that linked them. But, as with any high-level assassination, where the target could simply shrug off the effects, as it were, with a appropriately sized gem and a appropriately powerful cleric, both of which you would imagine a king or queen would have in supply. The killing was only made truly successful by the inclusion of a Duskbell extract.
I've been saying Death Bell, haven't I?
I've been saying it the other way as well. Don't worry about it. It probably goes by both names.
You're looking at Skyrim is what it is, Devin.
Yes, no, that is exactly why.
Uh,
Alright, yep, and just, well, they apparently got word from my half, currently in Citadel, that there would be no, it would be safe for them to march through. And I see why now. We've conferred with the, sorry, was it, what chief is her name?
The Chief Warden.
The Chief Warden of Deep Thicket. Warn them of the incoming threat.
You've spoken to the Peace Wardens.
Nods.
You do move quickly. I thought you were headed north.
We were. And then we looked in on the
Yes. And discovered that.
and quickly made haste to this side's family there. There's no shortage of trees, so I could make a quick movement. Our entry was rough, but we made way, and the Chief Warden specifically recognized what keepers were doing. Has memories of the last time.
You see that Filarion, he had that worried crease. Now he just looks exhausted as he puts his elbows on the desk and begins to rub his temples with his eyes shut. Azora, Relig, staying out of it. Galgea, now Pridwen. And Umbar hobbled by its own problems. Please tell me you have some good news in all of this. Any good news, I'll the least scrap.
Proper preparations are being made in Deep Thicket. They have the 7 days warning.
They're willing to take in you folks too, from what I hear.
They're willing to take us in? We can't leave Threshold. We have too much to guard here.
They're willing to receive help.
Ah, a very different thing.
And should anyone make their way there, I could potentially bring them there, though that only works to a number. Otherwise, anyone who enters the forest will be guided.
I wouldn't worry about numbers overwhelming your capabilities at this point. I start shuffling through papers. I may have some in the fields somewhere.
Give me a name.
Redirect. I can give you a small list, but they are not in set locations. It would be simpler to simply send the birds to them and have them convene somewhere, or just travel towards Deep Thicket.
Do you have any priorities then?
Priorities?
Anyone who would be most useful in Deep Thicket?
Do you have any equipment?
I would need to look through everything. I do not have all of this memorized. This is an undertaking. I will need a few days, but if we have a week, then there's at least that time. Small blessings.
Not to bring it back down, but potentially less than a week, as they may bolster their numbers with their recent development. Especially near Deep Thicket.
Well, then I shall simply have to do my best. I have a great deal to do now, especially. If I am able to compile a list, I will have it for you How soon would you need it?
As soon as possible.
I will do a short list of those in the most immediate area, but it's going to take the birds a day or two to travel and give instructions.
Do you have any contacts you could make in Resmond or Citadel?
A few, a scant handful that may be in those areas. Again, it would take the birds some time to fly there.
I'm considering looking in on them and potentially transporting us there. Partially to let them know, but more specifically to make some cuts into their numbers as they march.
Well, would there need to be any specific instructions for them? I'm sure you know that there's an instinct to kick back against anything that tries to magically look in upon someone.
We could
And
offer them a time.
most of our agents are well trained.
A time to
Again,
let defenses down in a day.
a time and
A recommendation
It would-
to be nearby a tree, a large one.
that would also be something to include. It would take a day if you, either in Resmond or the Shining Citadel, to get word there, and that's with the bird flying nonstop. Would you be able to wait until tomorrow?
We have other preparations we can do in that time. As soon as possible. We can make it work.
Tomorrow, or quite possibly the day after. I don't know if any of them are in those cities or simply in the areas. But I will
Either
at
would work.
least make the attempt. If I were to prioritize to your needs, what should I focus on first?
In terms of people,
Do you want the people amassed to go to Deep Thicket? Do you want them amassed near a tree so you can transport them to Deep Thicket? Do you want the contact in the area of Pridwin first?
I'm currently between. She looks at the group. I personally am currently between someone in Pridwin and someone in Resmond. Resmond would allow us some more.
Oh, Resmond is part of Pridwin,
Okay.
just a outskirts or border town.
I should say Citadel then, or Resmond then.
If you can get one in Tanagar or Shen, that'd be nice too, but don't put a priority on it.
They're likely to go through Resmond first.
I'm aware. I'm not talking about harrying the army. This is... I still want to speak to the orcs.
Galda makes a mention that the Citadel area might allow a message to be intercepted.
Sure.
That's a potential, but
Resmond seems safer.
Calder, real quick. Could you light your lantern for a moment?
Okay. Calder lights up the lantern and shines it around. You don't see any invisible creatures or beings.
No invisible sensors?
Would it pick up on those?
It's said
Mhm.
invisible, and creatures that can see invisibility.
Hold on.
It does specifically work on
seems-
sensors.
Wonky. Okay. And objects. Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Alright, you do not see any sensors.
Just a consideration, give those a flick anytime we're talking about anything in particular.
I mean, I can get you oil.
That's fair.
6 hours per pint.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I just read it. I'm like, oh, it's technically invisible. Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. All right. Okay, that's good to do. Meanwhile, I'd say Resmond is our best bet first,
Yeah.
especially if they've not. There's no way they've made it all the way from Sanctuary to Resmond by tomorrow morning. Is there? What was their travel rate said?
Probably around 20 a day.
Yep. They would still be going through the Green Water before then. We'd have time for the missive to get there. You said a day?
Roughly a day, yes. Again, assuming they don't push.
Sorry, the letter.
Oh, the letter, yes, about a day. It would be a full day for the letter to arrive down there. Whereas if it were anything closer, they might be able to get a letter and a response within a day.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Like, I don't know about you guys, I think the best thing is to send one to Resmond to get a contact in Resmond. And if someone is in Resmond as the Nightingale's reached town, it gives a bit more understanding on it. Resmond, yeah.
I think resin makes most sense. And then just for today, I think we head back to the Deep Thicket. Hopefully we can, for early enough in the day, we can move towards Tanager, get the ability to teleport there as well, and possibly even to more, just so we have, for the future, places we can go to.
I'm wondering, do you have the names of anyone in Tanager or more? Because we might not get the coordinated effort of betting on something like Resmond, but if I can happen to look in the day's time, and we get lucky.
We try to keep a few in the area of the marsh in order to watch over the shrine there. As for Tanager, I'm not sure we have any specifically there, but there might be someone in the area of Russell.
At that point, I think we just leave it to the
What of
Deep Thicket.
Embarion?
We don't tend to bother with the larger cities. It's unlikely.
Need to go to Ambarion, we could just get on a boat and be there in a couple hours.
I suppose. I'm looking for someone alchemical to bounce something off and get help with. I'm looking to counter what my counterpart has done.
Good luck. Whatever she's done is beyond anything that has ever been possible, else it would have been done before.
Nods. Well, I'll just have to match her in kind. That's the idea, isn't it?
Good luck. But I suppose that's why we've always had the habit of choosing the best balances we can. So yeah, you could take a ferry to Embarion. It would take a day, but
Lastly, I suppose. Real quick, out of character, Calder, what do you have prepared today? Okay, do you have Zone of Truth prepared today? Could we? Could you indulge us in a bit of paranoia?
I suppose as long as it's not going to be something that'll harm anyone.
Shakes her head. Calder, could you put us in a little space of honesty? We'd ask you let this magic take you.
He gives you a bit of an uncertain look.
I'll be
And
honest.
he's doing the equivalent of an insight check, but instead of having him roll, I'm going to go ahead and have you roll a quick persuasion.
Ken will just speak up a little bit and just be like, keep in mind if she wanted to cast harmful magic on you, she would just do it.
Alsana. Alsana's doing the persuading here in the just
Could I
let
get
it.
help with Calda?
I was hoping Ken was doing that, but yeah.
Probably. I'm going to say that you've got enough allies there with and he's like giving all of you a look.
So
That
advantage.
knowing this is honest, yeah, go ahead and with advantage, but no guidance because you wouldn't.
Yep.
I assume you wouldn't be casting anything on yourself.
Yep. 16.
All right. Yeah. He gives you a very worried look, but then nods and Calda when you cast Zone of Truth. He does not resist. You see him kind of flinch just a tiny bit, but when nothing bad seems to happen and he keeps his own mind, he does relax a little.
We'd take off the mask to let you know it was us, but
Yes, that was a worry that occurred to me.
So
I wouldn't have thought you would have been lost within the day, but
so to that end, you have the balance in mind, and you truly are against the Nightingales and their goals.
yes.
You don't have any ulterior motives, and you're to be. The trust of those on the other side is well placed.
I hope so.
Nods.
I am not the leader that Mendelesu was, nor am I the leader that Kvirani is meant to become. I am... I'm a cork in the side of a dam. I
What
can
it's
only
worth.
hope that I'm strong enough for it.
For what it's worth, and for the record, also not let the magic take her as well.
Mhm.
For what it's worth, in this place of without lies, I think you're doing quite a good job for what you've been given. And trust me, I can't lie.
Really? Not even...
Go on.
It's an interesting bit of magic, isn't it? The skies... You see him trying to say the word not blue. Orange sometimes, at sunset and sunrise.
Hey, Osana. Do you have a incredible crush on your little mortician friend?
I refuse to answer the question.
That's enough of an answer for me.
Calda is asking, hey, Alsana, what do you think of me?
I think you're wonderful and terrifyingly strong.
I'm now wondering whether this little spell wasn't invented by some very bored individuals with access to alcohol.
I mean, technically isn't that part of the base of a lot of potions? I'm sure a great number of magical monstrosities have been created under the influence.
I'll be damned if you equate alchemy to bartending.
Technically cooking, alchemy, and bartending are all mostly the same thing.
There's a twitch on the face.
Just different knowledge, but all the actions.
You know, you're right, Kane. Except for the ways they're different, they're the same.
Yeah, that's how everything is, but just like swinging a sword and an axe and a spear are similar.
Interesting. It doesn't seem to stop you from sarcastic. It's perhaps the intent behind the phrase.
Oh no, because
Deliberate words.
she honestly intends to piss me off. That's the thing. That's the crazy part of this magic, I'm sure.
What I said was not a lie. Does not mean you cannot belay other truths beneath words.
Aren't you supposed to be reassuring this person here with the spell?
Shrugs. I think it's enough of it for now.
Yes, I'm going to agree.
Except,
should we go?
Hold on, let me just check something because I'm not remembering what one of my magic items does. Yep. Okay.
Wait,
Slash-
paranoid thought? Yep, called it.
Calder has a paranoid thought. You know, we're kind of fucked.
This guy. Yep. Yeah. I was, that. I'm
Oh
gonna,
no!
I'm gonna give a quick detect good and evil just for fun.
This time,
Oh,
you get
my
nothing from
goodness.
Kane.
Yeah, you get nothing from Kane this time. You do not get anything from the list of creatures.
Yep.
You do not get, except Mori, of course.
Mm.
The cat is somewhat. Was he celestial? I think he was celestial. Yep. And you don't really get any sense of overt good or evil.
Does anyone does either Aldo or Lars have detect magic?
Don't you have it at will?
I don't have it at will. No. Actually, I don't think I have it. I don't have it prepared. I might not have it prepared. No, I do have it prepared today. What am I saying? Yes, I'll cast detect magic real quick.
All right. You obviously pick up on Zone of Truth. You pick up on all of your equipment. On Philarion, again, Zone of Truth. I don't think he has anything magical on him.
Mhm.
If he does, it's probably something relatively minor. He is not somebody equipped the way that you guys have become.
His glasses might have a sparkle to them or something.
Possibly something like that. Whatever it may be, it is small, it is utilitarian, it is
He has one
not
of those
something-
pens that writes as you talk. Yep.
A really cool pen on his desk. Yeah. It's probably something along those lines.
Yep. All of a sudden, his eyes glow for a second and then fade. It's like, nice pen.
Thank you, it was a gift.
I don't see any magical effects on you, and you're not lying. If you're still a trader, good show. And also, I looks to Calder. I think that's good for now.
Also, if you're still a trader, I hope your chin is not particularly well acquainted with the collarbones.
That was
Funny. Very, very funny.
no, it's
Kane
spell just
Kane
slides.
looks at him and just goes, "The spell wasn't off yet."
Alright, if the spell wasn't off yet, then he tries to say funny, but
That's
that's
Kane just smiles. You saw what I did to the shark.
Calder's right. Yeah, all he can say is threatening.
all right.
Indeed.
Well,
Where should we go next?
I suppose we pick a time for the resident of Resmond. How about it's a day to get there.
Yeah, what time is it now?
It's probably getting close to midday, if not really afternoon, just due to walking around Deep Thicket, asking questions, doing things.
Noon.
Yep. So then if it were to take a day to get there, and we gave them some leeway to have their affairs in order to make such a schedule, perhaps at 6 p.m. in 48 hours.
I will put that in the letter's instructions.
And make sure to be besides a tree large enough for a tree wide enough as a person.
I will include that.
And expect a potentially quick visit by agents, allies. How do you refer to us?
Masked folks.
We call the chief allies of the keepers. Is there anything we should call ourselves to not cause trouble?
The keepers will recognize you and know you. Our agents. As to anything you'd like to call yourselves, I would suggest that you establish it early and avoid anything that is similar to the Nightingale Alliance, just for the sake of Confusion.
Shadowwind solidarity.
If you insist. I would also avoid taking any names of any other groups again, for the sake of confusion.
Bright Shine Buddies, the exact opposite.
I'll allow you some time to think on it, perhaps. I needn't give a formal title in this letter, and they need only know that you are for
The four
and
with the
out
masks. Yep.
with our allies in this endeavor.
How about
Alright.
the storms and the witches? Well, I suppose. Kind of gestures towards Alaris. It's like, I suppose he's more of a masculine witch than your standard, but big difference.
Well, I believe if that's it. Also, I'll look at the group again, just a quick check.
I will ask someone to make sure your rooms are prepared.
Appreciate it. I'm
This is you.
out of transport for the day.
Oh, alright. Shit. Really?
Yes. I looked in on 2 people. I brought us here. Wait, no, am I not?
How many fifth level spell slots do you have?
It's level 2, and then a 6 and a 7.
You've only used a fifth, and a sixth.
That's right.
Yeah, but that was third and fourth.
Yeah, Alsana might not have cast very many plant growths today.
Yep.
Depends on if she did.
I
them
had
in
6 to
morning.
throw around.
Okay, very well then.
Yeah. You still have a seventh level, so.
Yeah, I guess so. Why did I mark that off then? I might have already marked off the whatever. So in that case,
Deep Thick, go to Tanager, possibly Broken Hills. Or to more, either way.
I'd rather stay here for the evening.
I'd rather, if we're going to stay anywhere for the evening, do it in Deep Thick where we can lend a hand.
Mm.
Being frank, our best hope is to keep them alive, to keep this place alive.
To rephrase, perhaps I should give a look in on the king or prince.
Will it be of any use today or no?
Maybe not today, but if I fail today, we could try again tomorrow. Good to get a glimpse at least, yes.
I assume if you do that, we can't travel today.
Nods.
If you're willing to... If you think it's worth it, then I'm not going to decide for you, but I would really like to have boots on the ground somewhere where the rest of us can be useful. Frankly, I don't think there's any saving the king from us.
If it does give context, and
Make your choice. I've voiced my opinion.
oh, called us for it, and I'm for it. Loris?
Yeah.
Shall we look in on the prince?
Yeah. Let's do that.
That's fair as well. Alright, in that case, Alsana will give a scry unto, Prince of Citadel.
Okay. So you have secondhand knowledge. He's +5 to his save. None of those other bonuses apply, so it's just a d20 +5, 10. Okay. So, just knowing the name, the position he holds, his assumed rough location, you focus on just the idea of Prince Armenius II. You look into the mirror. You see it shimmer. And you see in it a face and a figure you've never seen before. A young boy. Human by the ears and the features. kind of a neatly cut head of tawny brown hair. A little too dark to be blonde, but a little too light to be considered a shade of brown. He is dressed in simple but rich clothing. A well-cut and fitted tunic, breeches, mostly in rich royal shades of blue. He walks down a stone castle corridor, with light streaming in the windows, with his head up, his shoulders back. It is the confident pace of someone much older than him, but you can see that it's trained into him. He hasn't grown into it yet. At a guess, you might put his age around 12, maybe 11, maybe 13. On the outside, a particularly young-looking 14 or a particularly old-looking 10. As you follow along, the scribe kind of drifting behind him, you see him come to a large door, heavily carved, with a guard in shining plate mail, neat, clean tabards, holding what seem to be largely ornamental spears, but armed with swords, standing to either side of the door. The young prince stops in front of the door to the guards, takes a deep breath. "I wish to see my mother." You see one of the guards glance towards the other and give a nod. "Of course, Your Highness, but she is with someone at the moment. The physician and the visiting alchemist." "I wish to see her immediately." "I will ask if it is convenient for the Queen." One of the guards nods, goes over and raps on the door. And just as his knuckles clear it, the door is opened from the inside, and you see the other Alsana standing there, with a just behind her, just barely visible, is a smaller, older man in what looks like simple robes, holding what you would recognize as basically a medicine bag. He's just putting it over his shoulder. And the other Alsana looks out at the guards, and then past them to the young prince, who holds himself steady under her eyes, but you see a little bit of a gulp. And she smiles, looks again to the guard, and nods. "I apologize, we were just finishing up." She looks behind her. "Your Majesty, I believe you have a visitor." You hear from inside the room, "Don't coddle me, who is it?" "Well, it appears to be your young son." "Send him in, and see yourself out." "Of course, Your Majesty." Alsana gives a bow into the room, leaves the doorway, stands aside as the physician, unfamiliar to you, scuttles off down the corridor, but waits a moment, looks to the young prince, and gives a shallower bow. "Highness, don't worry. Your mother's fine. We're giving her our very best treatments. But I would warn you, for all her internal strength, the process is arduous. She may be a little fragile for a while yet." Just a thought. To be careful. Alsana nods again, and heads off down the corridor until she passes out of view of your scry. Of note during the whole time, the line on her forehead remained a line. She did not ever transform it into the shape of a tattooed eye.
Alright.
The scry remains on the young prince, who steels himself, puts his shoulders back and his chin up, and walks into the room. The purposeful stride is gone, and its absence speaks of a hesitance, though he doesn't pause in the doorway, or even all the way across the dimly lit chambers to the large four-poster bed, where you see a middle-aged woman, perhaps a little younger than middle-aged. She might be in her 40s, but her hair has streaks of gray at the temples, and it lays limp across her pillow. She is somewhat elevated in the bed, but under the covers, with a robe around her shoulders. She doesn't look like a queen except in her expression, in the sharpness of her eyes. The lines on her face, her posture, her presence in the bed, feels more like somebody who is worn and more elderly than she would otherwise appear to be. And she looks over and gives a nod to her son, Arminius. Do you have business? You wish to speak to me? No, mother. I wanted to see you. I thought last night was a dream. I had to be sure. And the queen says, "You must take care, Arminius. Such appearance of weakness is unbecoming of a king. You must always be certain of yourself." Yes, ma'am. And after a moment, though the queen's eyes soften, she sighs, looks to the door which is shut, but which was shut behind the prince, and she lifts a hand and places it at the edge of the bed with the palm up. And you see Arminius reach forward and clasp it in his. She gives it a squeeze. I am here. I don't know how, but I am. Though, I should like to know more about how two of these nightingales have come into my court and been so welcomed. And Arminius takes his other hand and folds it around hers as well. And just says, I think the council was... They wanted to do something. They were going to crown me, but then that lady and the dark man came, and they said that they just wanted peace, and that they'd found a way to undo what had been done. They said they found the person who did that to you, and they made sure he'd never do that to somebody again, and this was a gesture of their goodwill. The queen kind of scoffs a little, and all the raids that their people, their creatures, performed across the edges of this kingdom, they said it wasn't really them, that they had deserters who turned bandits. My child, you will find that there are many who will sell whatever they wish with whatever pretty words they can concoct. Lies are a cheap currency. Well, the council... I think they said it was better to give it a try. How much worse could they make it? And if they did, they'd be surrounded. All the knights, all the guards. And then they actually did it. They brought you back. And at what price? The Queen reaches over with her free hand and points towards a small bottle on the nightstand. How long do you think they're going to be having me take their medicine to make sure I don't slip back? A week, they say. Huh. I'm not so sure it's not meant to overrule my mind or make me weak to suggestion. She settles back into her pillows. Arminius, be dear and pour that out into the chamber pot. Yes, Mother. I'm tired, but before I rest, let me know. What have you been learning today? As the Queen settles back and the young prince pours out the small potion vial. He begins to tell her about his tutoring in history and mild politics. Fairly advanced level for the age you would have guessed him to be, but then he is a prince, and one that was perhaps being advanced rapidly towards a coronation up until recently. The scry continues uninterrupted until it finally fades away in the midst of the prince telling his mother about the day that he'd had as she half dozes in her private bedchambers. With that, the mirror clears and you see your own face again.
Well then. This is like at the end of the talk with them, but she's still in the room with Flareon.
Sorry, was there mention of 2 in there? Not just 1?
Alsana will at first go and explain everything she saw.
I was assuming that was already done.
Just so the Queen lives for now.
Seems a useful way to get a kingdom under your thumb.
Seems
Though one
planned.
that I would think would backfire.
We need to talk to her.
They do it this way. They've got a weak enough kingdom that the elders can't fully take control. The queen is too weak to lead, and they're going to march an army right around the walls. If Pridman decides to stay out of it anyways, or Citadel or whatever, no changes to that decision's going to be made in the short term. At the very least, it's a way to get their army through. Once they've got deep thicket, they can just attack.
If... Also scratching the back of her head. They're there, right now. 2 of them. Lars and Alsana.
And we can't go anywhere today.
Not today, no. But I don't see them leaving.
Think we can win?
Against 2 of them?
Against any of them.
We have to.
That's not what I asked. I think we can win right now.
What else would you have us do, Kane? It's our only
Okay.
option.
Calder brings up a point. Do you think they'd join the forces once they pass by Citadel?
Calder would at least be there. I don't know if Good would continue as loner to avoid his sister, or they truly wish to fully consolidate against Deep Thicket.
So in that case, our plan doesn't change much. We harry the people going to Citadel before any of them can meet up.
I want to go to Citadel and find them in the court.
Do what?
Kill them.
Attack in broad daylight?
Yes.
I mean, wasn't expecting you to agree to a plan like that, honestly.
They need to go. And if we can have the Queen's word, the Queen's preference that they are out of the picture, even if she's only around for another day, if truly they need to keep an eye on her to maintain her life, all the better. If
you can think of a way to make it happen, I'll swing the sword.
we need a way to talk to the Queen. Covertly, easily. I can only think of 2 spells right now.
I mean, if you want an emissary, I think I'm the one whose face is least likely to be seen once we do ever attention and privacy.
I would have her. I would have a conversation with her that I would wish to have a conversation with her that could explain the amount of Queen will be taking this. To her seems a bit odd.
They don't need Pridwen as an ally for very long.
They only need her alive long enough for them to walk by.
Even better if they do manage to coerce the elders or the queen or whoever to their side.
She looks to Falarian. Do you have any way to send someone a message magically when only they hear, or to contact someone in their dreams?
Alastor might, but if any of those messages require personal knowledge or connection or meeting, then I'm not sure he would be the person to ask. Ask him if he has anything that can help. He'd be the source of any magic like that here.
I mean, I have an idea for a last-ditch effort.
That is.
If we can get nearby, we have sending stones, and we have the ability to send animal messenger. I know you can cast a spell naturally. Stick it inside of a scroll. Hopefully she reads it. Ask her to send us a message when she does.
My want is to get it to her as quickly as possible.
Oh, I'm aware, but if we can't do that, and we can at least get to Resmond, it'll be less than a day to get it to her.
Perhaps. I'll go talk to Alistair.
Okay.
If I can get a scroll that can have me contact her, that would be for the best.
In the meantime, Falarion, do you have books here? Military? Anything? It talks about Pridwen and its military, its culture. Anything.
That would be in Alastor's domain as well. He's the, he takes care of the history as well as the magic.
Oh,
That's okay. Librarians love me. Let's go.
I'll play ambassador there.
I'm just gonna ask to read a book because I'm hoping to get any insight on how Pridwen's defenses, guard, anything is set up.
And I get the feeling he's not going to take it as simply that, with your way of phrasing. So let me smooth things over so you can actually do it.
Oh, your faith in me is wonderful. Because you're so much smoother of word than I am. Let's go.
With eclectic librarian
Let's
types,
go.
yes. And she
Yeah.
starts walking.
The
All
nerd
right.
starts to the football player dating a librarian.
Okay, so you head off to find Alistair. You get a grouchy "What?" when you knock on the door.
It's me.
But when you show up, you're back so soon. Supposing that
happened.
there's not a problem with the scroll I gave you.
No, but I might need another one. A particular one.
Oh, for goodness sake. All right, let's have it. What do you need?
Dream.
Dream. You sure you can cast Dream?
Roll 20 says I can.
I know, I looked it up just now and going, huh, I thought for sure Dream was not on the Druid spell list, but okay. At which point he
hold
takes
on.
your word.
Are you still using that website from before?
I'm using
No,
roll
it
20.
is roll 20.
Okay, I
It's
just
in
want
the
to make
compendium. Yeah,
because it's level 5 spell, right?
Yep.
it's the level 5 spell.
I don't. have
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
what's confusing me because I thought Dream was not a Druid
It's a
spell.
dream druid spell.
Dream Druids don't get special spells.
Oh, that's right. I did that mine.
Yeah, you did that yourself.
Hold
but
on.
roll 20 is giving it
I'm
as
checking up
Bard,
theirs, man.
Druid,
Give me a
Warlock,
second.
Wizard. Okay.
I mean, if it's a spell scroll, that's one thing, but
Nope, a spell scroll requires it to be on your spell list.
oh, that's right. I meant more so like those magic items that say these classes can. But yeah.
Dumb that it's written like that. Okay. Druid spells 4th level. Dream
So
is
fourth-
not. Dream is
fourth
not
or
in
fifth?
the 5th level. Dream is not in the Druid spell list in the player handbook. I'm wondering if maybe they did something.
I
weird.
have the eroded version,
Okay.
so yeah, it doesn't have it in mine. Hold on.
Maybe Dream was an old one.
I guess at this point, Ariel can
I'm
also
gonna
cast
say-
Dream.
I'm going to say that you might be able to, but it's going to take a roll because of conflicting information. Perhaps Dream is not a Druid spell where you're from, but it is here,
Mm.
or vice versa. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Sounds
So, you're getting a spell scroll from here, your abilities from there, and there's going to be a bit of a there's going to be an ability check. If you fail, you lose the spell scroll. If you succeed, it
What's that
works.
sound?
What?
What does that sound in the background?
That was the music going through Ariel's speakers.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's alright. It's just very confusing.
Yeah, my headphones have been weird lately. I don't know what's going on with this. I think it's because I turned up the sensitivity of my microphone.
Alright.
In an attempt to be heard.
So to that end, Son asks if he has Dream.
Okay. Perhaps. Why do you need it? And he's already starting to rifle through shelves.
Are you ready for a lot of information?
Always. Carry on.
The Nightingales just revived the Queen of Citadel.
Impossible. She was under the effects of the Dusk Flower, the Bell of Death.
Yes, and I just and just this morning I talked to an entity of death, this one's patron, who is very unhappy at the fact that my counterpart has found a way to supersede that.
Very well. And you need a dream to...
Talk to her because I recently scryed on her and she wants nothing to do with my other half and the Alaris that's there.
Risky, but very well. He rifles through a bit further. Ah, here we are. I thought I had, and blows some dust off of a scroll. Unrolls it just a little bit, checks it, nods, and holds it out to you. Now you're sure you can cast this? I only have the one.
It's our best chance.
Can Alaris cast Dream?
Alaris can cast Dream, but Alaris does not know the creature that it's targeting.
Oh, that's right.
Alsana was the only one who saw her. So, you are given the spell.
Mhm.
Now, is there anything else you want to freeload off of me?
Oh, please tell me the price.
You... You already promised me any books or materials you come across out there.
I have a scroll of my own that I'm not sure I'm going to use.
What would that be?
Charm Monster?
Why the
I
fuck
may
would need
already
that?
have it, but backup copies are always good. He holds out a hand.
Why are we gonna give that to Alaris? What?
What?
were you gonna give that to Alaris?
Give
Why
what?
wouldn't we? The fucking spell scroll of control monster. It's a crazy good spell.
Hmm. I'm pretty sure I've offered it before, and it was just a shrug.
It's your choice.
Let me see if I have anything else actually.
I didn't even know we had that.
It's in my it's in my stuff.
Possibly it should be the part of it so we can all check it.
I think I
We also have all the books from the Hag House if we want to look at that.
I want those ones. Also, we're not. We're trying to. A spell scroll's one thing. A book is another. Yeah, I could also do Geomancer to be fair. I don't know.
Would you
You guys
take an
want-
IOU?
Do you guys want it?
You got the scroll, so you do what you want with it, but
All right.
So are we handing the scroll over, keeping it, doing an IOU?
She'll hand it over.
All right. To look at it. You come asking for anything else, and I'm going to need a bit more, but for time being, fine.
does this place still function as a normal library?
He looks you up and down,
I'll keep an
and
eye
you
on him.
can see the librarian's nose going up.
I look at him and she says, "Look, I just want to read through any sort of manuscript you have on fighting styles, anything on their defenses that you have in Pridman, their culture, anything might be able to ascertain the history or the importance of combat in their culture. Get an idea of the Royal Guard, anything of similar sort, and if you have references of the history that would have gone into that, you can well cross-reference there. I understand how libraries work in reference to military."
You just kind of had this slow opening of the mouth as you went on.
And yes, Alsana will watch over me if you think I still need it, but frankly, I'm not some sort of fucking brute. I can read a book without breaking it.
Don't act like you don't give off that vibe intentionally.
Yes, and I would like to consider that a form of, arguably racism. Well-founded, but racism. So I'd rather not be treated as such. Therefore, can I borrow the book or no?
I can't guarantee I have the particular tomes that you're after. However, I'm pretty sure that we can explore the possibilities. Sit
have
down.
Please do. I have
Hold
nothing else to
still.
do for about 8 hours, so.
Sit. I will bring you the books. I have my
Love.
own categorization system, and I will not have it messed up.
I wouldn't dare.
He strides off, and after a few minutes comes back with a couple of dusty books. Not the largest, not the most well-thumbed in this library, it seems. But he slaps them down on the table in front of you, and there's a start. I'll see if there's anything else, but that might give you at least an idea of the history of Pridwen on this one. And this isn't so much on their particular military, but there's a history of various skirmishes, battles, so on and so forth.
That's
History in the
even better.
region.
That tells me more than what the average author could tell me. Alsana, you want to let me a hand with looking through these or no? You got
She's
nothing else to do, right?
She's kind of like turning the scroll in her hand. I might give her a bit just to make sure she's gone to sleep. Or wait, sorry, didn't she say that like she was hanging to sleep when Alsana was crying in? Or am I remembering wrong?
She was tired, and she looked tired. She looked like she was half dozing. However, if
Also-
you want to give her a little bit of time just to make sure.
Also, you
Also, you don't have to. They don't have to be asleep the instant you cast it.
can, you can
As
wait.
long as they fall asleep within that 8-hour duration, you can just kind of wait.
Okay, that's fair.
However, you wouldn't be able to do anything else during that 8-hour duration. You'd basically be sitting inside your little dream room waiting for them to pop in.
I'm just waiting in the group chat.
Yes.
So yeah, at that point, Alsana's just gonna give kind of guidance and probably an advantage, just looking through whatever he's looking for,
All right. Is anybody else wanting
and making
to
sure
do
he
anything?
doesn't treat the books harshly.
All right.
He
That's
treats it with the utmost respect. Again,
Yes. And the
he's
more
well
you do
educated.
this,
He's
the more
bonking
you
a
do this,
librarian
the
too.
more, yeah, the more respectfully you treat the books, the more Alistair seems to soften up to you. Though he stays a little bit prickly in demeanor,
Oh, of
he
course.
starts getting a little more helpful.
Yeah, the first thing Kane does is take off his armor, remove all the oil from his hands, wipe it on a cloth, and then put on a pair of reading glasses.
Yep. All right.
I just realized I
gonna
probably
say
look
just-
like an armored version of the fucking librarian from the College of Winterhold.
Amazing.
Yeah, that is exactly it, right?
Yes. I'm going to say that for the duration of this, just go ahead and roll that advantaged with guidance. Let's say it's an investigation check,
there
as it
any
uses
way I could-
intelligence.
Is there any way I can swing it to perception?
Could it be investigation with wisdom?
It's the same bonus, but
Do you have?
I have proficiency in perception, not investigation. That's why I ask.
Do you have proficiency in history?
No.
Okay, because that would have been my other thought. The proficiency bonus that I would use most would probably be either history or investigation, not so much perception. I might allow insight if you have proficiency in insight.
I do not have proficiency in insight. Could I argue possibly for Kane naturally having advantage because it's military history and he studies this all the time?
No, but I will set the DC with that in mind.
Thank you. In that case, I will do history just because I like history better.
Okay.
They're the same bonus, so.
Yep. Make sure you've got your advantage. Roll your
I already forgot
D4.
to click advantage, but that's okay.
It's okay. 19 plus 1?
20.
20. Okay, yeah. You were able to pick up a pretty good sense of the military practices and exploits of that region. They actually are best known for their cavalry due to the environment that they primarily inhabit. However, for infantry, for like manning a city, for keeping that, they have never really had to deal with a siege due to the rolling nature of the plains. Most of their conflicts have taken place out in the open. They've
And if you have
occasionally,
if you have a plain city and good cavalry, nothing's coming close to your city.
pretty much. They are especially good at range. They have longbows, but again, the bulk of their strength is in the cavalry charge and in formations and tactics relating to that. Aside from that, they don't have very much experience with guerrilla warfare where they're performing or fighting against it. They have faced in the past some larger, more sweeping battles, but again, those have mostly taken place out in the open on the plains, not in enclosed quarters or in cities. However, I'm just going to say that in general, going forward, if you have any questions relating directly to the armies, the military, the fighting forces of Pridwen, at least that would tie in historically and be able to extrapolate from there, I'll probably either just give you the answer or I'll give you some sort of bonus on any check there might be to determine the answer.
Okay. And Kane, once he gets a good idea of this, and he's going to continue reading and cross-referencing as best he can, he'll add references as he writes. He's basically going to draft the very simple version of an effective battle plan on how cavalry versus undead is a wonderful matchup for the cavalry, especially on the home territory, especially in the plains, and especially if they think they're allies and can swing it that way. Just as one of those things, like, for your consideration to the queen.
Yep. Okay. All right. You don't know fully the numbers, but you can guess at some of the capabilities, and you can make like broad strokes of if this many, then this.
He'll basically mark down a ratio effectiveness, because you can do it like that. You can do it such that, assuming you have 10 undead to 1 horseman, you can effectively write it like that.
Yep.
And he said
that
it's
is
longbow cavalry, right?
not necessarily longbow cavalry. You have cavalry, and then you have longbows that typically would stay up on the walls if something actually came close enough to the city to be worthy of a bow shot.
In that case, he will specifically write a separate note of, and if you can swing it that way and have enough horses, having your cavalry run in and then cover their retreat with longbow fire so nothing can come to support the ones you're attacking. You have a form of guerrilla warfare that is significantly deadlier, especially on your home court, and by the time your cavalry retreats, they can bring all the archers with them and you can all retreat safely.
Wait,
as a secondary note.
wait, where do the
Mhm.
gorillas come from?
No, see, we have a druid, and she can turn into a gorilla, and her personality is very similar to one anyways, so it's not a huge deal. We can find that gorilla as we come, and if not, we have a half-orc, so it's close enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hereditary. Alsana got the personality, Kane's got the looks.
I made that joke like 3 times already, how dare you?
All right. Okay, so I looked up another thing too.
Mhm.
If Alsana's making a check to attempt this dream spell,
Mhm.
could Alaris give help?
Probably.
Because I've read and in traditionally using a spell scroll, if both
It's an ability
people,
check, right?
yeah, it's an ability check, and if both, and it's the help is specifically if it's something you could attempt yourself.
You know what? I'll allow it.
Okay.
If Alaris wants to give some aid with the deciphering the scroll as you cast it, it takes a minute anyway.
Yep.
He can do so.
Because it's also said that if it's not a spell you can normally cast, it's gibberish. So Alsana might be like, hey Alaris, what's this one, this one, this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Alaris can help fill in the gaps.
Also, real quick, before we do that, can we have a quick like 5 minutes? I need to run the washroom. And I feel like we haven't had any
Yeah.
in like
Go ahead.
multiple sessions.
I do forget.
Yep. So
I just get on a roll. So, if anybody needs a break, go ahead and take
We're on
one.
the roll.
I'll be
Yeah,
back.
I'll be right back too.
Mass polymorph everybody into gorillas. There you go.
That's not what.
That's not what the mass polymorph was about.
No, that's not what gorilla warfare's.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm not looking over there, sometimes I am. Yeah. I've got notes everywhere.
Brother, can you tell that I really want to run an armory style D&D encounter?
Hey, what?
Apparently.
Yeah.
I like that we have the Cain instinct as well as the Discord instinct.
Guys, I really intended for you to just kind of blaze through the week, but man, you guys are going directions I did not expect.
When you give us a shitty situation, we have to go, okay, what possibly can we pull of our ass to make this less shitty?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah, also, this is without 2 extra players, and with Cain pushing people to get moving faster.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm aware. I'm aware of how we function, but
Yep. I think we've been
Man.
spoiled too much by playing Monday.
I prepped so much stuff for certain things, and then it's like, let's go this way, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I did not account for that.
But
Well-
when we do get to those, you just saved yourself weeks of prep.
Mm-hmm. I do have to prep for next week. I don't know what you guys are gonna do.
I'm relatively confident that we're gonna at least try to get to Pridwin, try to talk to the Queen, hopefully convince her to fight the army. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question. I've got no clue.
Well, you got a week to figure it out probably, because I doubt we're gonna get it done in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, no.
Although if we could speed run that would be hilarious.
Wouldn't it though?
Actually, Ty, I would love if you did that. I would read it before each session. It would make my life so much easier.
Yeah. Then we
That's
could all
okay.
do
No, like
that.
I would do it every time before session. I wouldn't do it
Yeah.
historically. I would just do like before session to refresh myself because I have so many issues trying to recall stuff from one session previous.
Yeah.
That is the whole reason I started taking notes to begin with.
Thank you. Which is scary, because I was DMing when we started doing that.
Oh no, I've always just, I started out D&D, kind of looking at just the fact that, for example, Critical Role, so many people had a notebook and they were writing things down. I'm like, huh, that makes sense. When I start playing, I should probably do that. So I did. Now they've gotten more and more, not elaborate, but detailed as time has gone on. But, from the very first time that I played in a game, I wanted to keep track of names and things. So,
See, that's very fair. I was good at taking notes until my hand stopped working.
that is also very fair.
It's decent taking notes, and then I just stop.
Although my hands are slowly getting better, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So, hopefully I can start taking them again. I've started taking a few for Bastion, but not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bad that I always read the word jargon as jargon?
Not necessarily bad, but weird. Kind of funny.
It's a thing that was bestowed upon me.
Yes.
Wait, no, bestowed. Damn it, I said it right this time. God damn it. I can't even fuck things up intentionally properly. I really have to trust myself more in my ability to just screw sentences up. Well, except when you type it like that. I say it with affection.
Sometimes mispronouncing something is just a verbal typo. Sometimes.
See, I would disagree with you, but for a long time, when I was trying to figure out how to spell a word, in my head I would type it on a keyboard out, so I can't even argue with you.
Nah, I can be wrong. I'm just
Yeah, but in this
tired
case, I
enough
don't
to be a
think
little
you are.
loopy.
Oh, this is gonna be a fun game of
Yeah.
thing after.
Alright.
What
Okay,
a miss.
everybody's back. We ready?
I think
Think
so.
Alright. So, while the study session is ongoing, because I'm sure it'll take Kane longer to formulate all of this and start taking notes than
He'll also
Sana would wait.
pick Alistair's brain. Just in the meantime, like, is this a crazy theory? Is there something I haven't found yet that disagrees with this? Just trying to get as much insight as he can. As
I
he
don't know. I
makes.
don't know anything about all of this mucking about with horses and swords and...
Well, it's fine. What do you know about undead? How do they handle things like this?
Well, that I might be able to tell you. And he starts going off on a lengthy ramble about magical theory and death, and it might add a little bit to just your knowledge base, because armies, of course, in these worlds aren't going to be solely sword and shield, though magical support is not common and it's not the bulk of the army. It tends to be more backlines. However, it could be present. Unfortunately, it's very hard to account for in planning, because you never really know what spells the enemy has.
Yep. And at one point, he just goes, "So if we stuck a cleric on a horse, or 4 clerics on a horse, low level, had them all turn on, had them cast turn undead on a cavalry charge, the undead wouldn't be able to chase after them very well."
Highly risky. Honestly,
Yes.
I wouldn't want to risk the clerics and the healing sorts on that sort of maneuver, because
Yes, but how will
traditionally they're better off in the back lines, and if you lose one, then that's how many lives lost from their healing capabilities, and just it goes on and on.
Yes, but then of course conversation switches to, but then how many cavalry does that save for the next fight, and continue on that debate.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So, Alsana will first cast guidance on herself
Okay.
because the spell happens after she makes the check.
Yep.
Uh,
Grab Alaris, settle yourself comfortably in a corner.
yep.
It will help out.
Mhm.
Okay.
So that's a
Begin. Yes.
spellcasting check on my end.
Yes, it is. With advantage and with guidance.
Mhm.
I think you're already good.
20.
20. Alright. You go through the scroll, It is unfamiliar. You've never cast this spell before, but you think you can see a little bit of how it would work in the arcane arcs and sigils.
Alsana thinks of
and
Nevi.
Mhm. all of the overlapping elements that are somehow inscribed onto this scroll. In an odd way, when reading a magic scroll, it's almost as if you're reading through layers. Not top to bottom, but surface to parchment. As you untangle it and cast it at the same time, like pulling on a thread from a piece of fabric and making the whole thing unravel. Or maybe doing the opposite, feeding the thread back in. You finally reach the base level. You say the last word. You make the last gesture. You tug the last thread. Your eyes fall closed. And you see yourself in a pale and misty space with a solid stone floor, but empty. As you swirl your hand through the mist and watch it curl around your fingers, you get the sense of a malleability. This drifting place, this dream, you can shape.
Yeah, that got me when you called it.
I am so sorry.
Yep.
I am searching for words at times, and sometimes it's just at such an inopportune moment. Yeah, that would be a jump scare.
You see your own face.
Like, hello
You
there.
realize one
Messed
hasn't
up, did you?
finished, so
But as you realize that you can shape this dream, you also realize that somebody else is here. She is drowsing, sleeping, not quite present yet, but very close. How would you like to shape the dream to greet her?
She's going to make it a, I'd say a warmer, something she would imagine would be some sort of royal-like meeting room.
Okay, describe as you will.
Probably just, probably like a wood flooring. Perhaps there's like a small hearth. Rather like a large room with some tall ceilings. Probably a number of like drapes and tapestries about here and there. Perhaps just like a somewhat like floral and herbal smell to the air. Yeah, just I don't know, maybe some light ambience, but not sound-wise, but nothing overbearing or anything.
Okay, you create a warm and comfortable room. Do you have your mask on in this dream incarnation of yourself?
For now.
Okay. Your mask and your usual clothing? Alright. Just then, the person you were waiting for doesn't so much step in as appear, but with a sense that they were already and always there. You see the figure of the Queen of Bridwin, with her hair tied back and a simple dress on instead of the nightgown and robe she had been wearing. Look about, see you in your mask, give you a look over, and then the room a once around. I remember falling asleep in my own bed.
She nods. And you remain there, but I have brought your dreams to another place. I wish to talk to you, Queen. Queen name, I'm forgetting.
That's alright. I've got it here. It is Queen Emmeline.
Yep.
And I can spell that for you because it does have a Y in it. It's not crazy, but here you go. And who would you be? Stranger.
One who is aware of recent going on in your court.
Really? Well, you have an advantage on me, I'm afraid.
The knowledge that you yourself have, I believe. We're bedded equal.
Tell me, do you have seats here?
Yep, and just like that, there's a like softer couch, like that kind of like greeting room couch.
Ah, it will do. She seats herself on one side very elegantly, arranges her skirts, folds her hand on top of her knee.
Alsana sits down as well.
Enlighten me.
From my understanding, you have a rather wise and on-point distrust for the two nightingales who had recently changed your situation.
People never do things without a price or a reason. Their price is apparently to freely walk their people across my lands. I have my doubts.
They aim to, from my understanding, walk across them in an attempt to take Deep Thicket.
And how does Umbar view this? I understand that the Deep Thicket itself is rather autonomous, but the towns and cities around it do at least belong to Umbar in some capacity.
They are not aware of it yet. I have been made aware of it but a few days ago. They set out this morning.
Well then. Seems I should be writing a missive to inform Imbarion.
I would ask you perhaps hold that close to the chest for now. At least, well, I suppose you can't do that until after this conversation. I am with a group who knows more of the Nightingale's true natures, their true intentions.
Are you indeed? And what are these natures and intentions you speak of?
They are ones who wish to gain power.
A nebulous concept?
They aim to turn things on their head. Their fighting for justice is a war call more than anything. They have their own self-interest in mind.
Of course.
Their methods are cruel, unforgiving. If the talk of their undead armies have not already given that impression.
Oh, quite. Really, my wise caution that you mention is experience. Now tell me, is there anything that you wish to tell me that I do not already know? Your name, perhaps?
This is where things get, let's say, complicated.
Indeed. Especially as you speak with the same voice as one of them.
Perceptive.
One must be. So, Alsana of the Nightingales, what reason have you to invade my dreams as you invade my waking hours? And flatter me?
She offs the mask. I am and I am not. You'll find no recollection of hers. Of this conversation, as I am not her. I hold her face, I hold her voice.
A doppelganger?
Nods.
Hmm. And why have you chosen to take this form then? By the way, some of the details are slightly off and missing.
Shakes her head. I suppose there's a lot to explain. I guess let's get it out of the way. What is your actual opinion on those two? Would you have them gone?
I would. If I were certain that was the wisest course of action. Unfortunately, I am still tired. My resurrection apparently was difficult.
It was by all means impossible from standard alchemical practices.
So I've heard and been told. I insisted my court physician be present and aid in the brewing of all potions. And though he tells me that they are perfectly safe, though with rare ingredients, I do not trust so easily.
This is to the end, that I'm concerned of. I know not her methods, but I know it's something. She is not breaking new ground in terms of some new genius twist. She's twisting nature itself. Spirits of death rage and anger at your resurrection.
Ah,
Deemed
I
unnatural.
know. And I suppose that these spirits will come for me sooner or later.
Perhaps sooner. I also wouldn't be surprised at all if this is temporary.
All life is temporary.
You may have until their last of their armies have left Gridwin.
Terribly convenient, though it would cut them off then from any retreat or resupply.
That's
I more fear becoming a pawn, either dependent upon their potions, or perhaps weakened by them.
well then, perhaps a more physical offer. I hold expertise in the same range. And as one against them, you could understand. I would be willing and interested to give a look to what they are giving you and let you know what it actually is.
I cannot recount the formula, but I
This-
would be able to ask my physician for it written down, and I've always had a good head for memorizing written information. If you would be able to contact me again, I could pass it over.
Unfortunately, this method is in limited supply for me.
Pity. Very well.
The method I
I
do
may be
have.
able to... In that case, I may be able to get a servant of mine outside of the Citadel on some errand. Perhaps if there is a place where she may be able to meet you, or maybe a companion of your own.
Possible. My consideration. They're the group of 4. And I wish them a group of 0.
Very direct.
I have the possibility to look in upon you. Scry.
I am familiar.
And in terms of transparency, I found out of your current status, by giving a look into your son.
And while I will allow that it is allowed this conversation, I will ask that you never do so again.
Did not plan on it. I simply wanted insight into Citadel's going on, and certainly if his inauguration was delayed, then something must have happened, and lo and behold.
Clearly. Well,
Okay.
if this exchange of information were to happen, I assume that we would be able to arrange a time and a place before this magic has ended.
Nods. We have, if you are asleep for the time, about 8 hours.
Oh, very likely. I have slept most of the day since I have returned, and I am not sure that is going to change very quickly or very soon.
My want is that if you could possibly, at a certain time of day, allow yourself a clear mind and ease of any magics that might look in upon you. And for you to be by a tree about as wide as one person.
You ask something very difficult. I know of no trees like that within the castle grounds, and I have not had the strength to leave my bed. I will not be taking very many evening constitutionals across the gardens, at least not in very recent coming days.
Then perhaps deserve it.
Perhaps.
I wish to make myself and others a trip there, and confront the two who are there with you. Is it still two?
To the last of my knowledge, yes.
Before allies march around your walls.
Well then.
We would pull that thorn out of your side. I could look into anything you've taken and the proper nature of your current state. But I couldn't make any promises. If you have it as temporary, then it could be iffy. It is likely it would remain as such.
Tell me, what is the purpose of the tree?
I have to me a magic. I can transport myself from one tree to another, so long as I'm aware of it.
So in that case, a tree in a very busy or populated area would not be ideal.
Likely not. Unless it is shroudable.
Do learn to lead with this information. It would have been valuable to have at the first thought.
Apologies.
Yes, I will ask my servant if she knows of any such locations tomorrow, and if she does, to help me come up with an excuse why I should send her to this place. But I believe I can make such arrangements. What do you need in order to look in on her?
Simply her willingness for a magic to view her, and a somewhat coordinated time.
And description.
Additionally, yep, that's a good point, Conrad. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
As well,
Do not forget that part, please.
a name and description of the intended servant.
Very well. I believe that my most loyal and my most trusted Her name would be Lisa. And she gives a brief, abbreviated description of this younger woman. Not young. She might be mid to late 20s. But younger than the queen herself.
Alsana will apparate a... We'll basically try to dream, like, apparate a... what's it called?
You're creating a police sketch.
Yeah, police sketch.
But minor illusion,
Yes.
as she, like, tweaks it for you until you've got it. She looks at it and says, a well enough approximation.
That's all I need.
Very well. And you will appear there, and I do hope not stroll through my castle and court expecting the guards to simply allow you to pass by looking like that or with a mask upon your face.
Shakes her head. No, but the masks are necessary for obvious reasons. I am her.
I will send Lisa with a writ and a seal of my approval. You may be able to gain passage, though I cannot guarantee it will go directly to me in that case. More than likely, the guards will end up taking you to the head of my council. If you wish to have the free run of the place, well, that would be a little bit trickier. And something that I am less eager to give to somebody who I have only just met over a dream.
That's... Just with the impending approach of not only the numbers of the army, but she kind of like thinks for a second. The other more powerful members of the Nightingales. This would be the opportunity to cross those two off. This would be the best opportunity.
Will you be coming alone?
I would have 3 others, ideally.
And do you think that you 4 can handle the 2?
It's our best chance. We've been doing our best to equal and surpass their power.
I will want a full summary of your plan before I agree to allow any such action upon my city and my castle grounds. I will not agree to anything that will put my people to risk, or that could stand to destroy all.
Shakes her head.
You will have to formulate a plan that will draw them out, or contain them so thoroughly and so quickly that there will be no repercussions felt. Do I make myself clear?
That's ideal to me as well. I will do everything I can.
To ensure that there will be ample time to create such plans, I will send my servant not tomorrow, but the day after. In that vein, I may also be able to procure the recipe for this potion. And it will allow my servant time to come up with the appropriate tree in the appropriate location and the appropriate excuse. It will also give you time to create some sort of battle plan, though I understand that such plans may change when you become more familiar with the grounds upon which you will stand. Is there anything else with this meeting?
I would ask if there's anything else I could do for you. This is quite a step in trust on your end.
If you rid us of those 2, what else would you ask?
Really? Not want to put Pridwin, Citadel, any of them in any more danger than needed. Do you think it is preparing for the assault?
No, you misunderstand me. What would you demand? If you did me a favor, what would you wish? You know the boon that these two asked of my council in exchange for my resurrection. I would know your demands.
Would you have it? Information and intel on those walking across your lands. If you wish to continue to allow that even with them gone. If not, then ask to assist you in that endeavor to keep them out.
Almost too altruistic to be true.
We're aiming to cross off the cruel and evil that is of those four, and the seeds they plant within their armies. That is our ultimate goal. To that end, it would seem altruistic, yes.
Well, as long as that remains true, and simply that remains true, we may be able to have a working truce.
Believe me when I say I am no aim to gain power, upper hand status, or anything of the like in your lands or anywhere else in this world. Only what it takes to stop their advances.
Very well. You should know that they did not come here unescorted. They do have a small contingency of soldiers, though no undead. We disallowed that. That being said, if you are able to separate them, or factor them into your plans, you may have a clear shot, as it were. Beyond that, I know very little, and cannot be of much help for this particular endeavor, aside from, of course, what was discussed with the information I can gather and the way through by Lisa's aid.
That's, I suppose, one of the outline of things. More an understanding. I aim to get a full comprehension of what was done to you and what they are wanting to give you. But I cannot and will not abide by any wants to potentially extend this extra time given. I would not aim to close things off with you, as you should be in the grave or anything of that. Let the time run its course as it was, but if that time is merely a month, then it shall remain that.
I see.
I would only make it shorter upon your requests.
Well, it may be enough to put my affairs into order. Very well. In that case, I ask that I go back to my rest, and you go to your planning. In 2 days' time, at, shall we say, 4 hours past the peak of noon, as the sun turns towards evening but does not quite approach it yet. People may be a little less alert then. I will have Lisa beside a suitable tree with an open mind. So basically the day after tomorrow, about 4 o'clock.
Can Alsana do an insight check on everything?
Go ahead.
Is there
Roll
any
your
ho-
insight.
is there any holes that were in anything, or is there any? Oop, that should be an advantage. Still a 22.
Probably not any particular holes. You do still have the potential problem of, yeah, you get into the Shining Citadel, but where do you go from there? You'll have a small writ that will allow you.
Oh, I mean
Access
more
to
with the
people?
queen. Sorry,
Okay,
with her trustworthiness of what she's stated to us.
all right. The queen seems a little bit cautious, but in a way, willing to grasp at an opportunity you are presenting. Because it's like she is in a sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't situation right now, and you are offering a third option, and she doesn't quite know if it's as damning as the others, but at the very least it's a third.
And she's perhaps willing to try.
She is willing to try. She does not seem like she's in a demeanor or a situation where she would want to lead you into any kind of trap if that's what you're worried about. Because right now you are perhaps the best hope that she has at the moment, and also it seems to be a situation from her perspective where she needs to grasp it now or possibly never.
All right.
So you can probably trust her, at least to an extent, and she is willing to extend some similar trust to you, but she's going to be watchful and cautious about it.
Yep.
As much as she can be.
And for the record, Alsana is, because I assume her insight's nuts, being badass queen. Alsana is pretty much in the same place.
Mm-hmm. Yep, alright.
And she just nods. 4 hours past the noon. 2 days from now.
I will make the arrangements when I awake. Now,
Thank you, Queen Evelyn.
if you will release me from the spell.
Absolutely. And for what it's worth, you have a very bright son.
There's a little quirk of a smile on the side of her mouth, though she tries to hide it.
I know he'll do great. She waves the spell away.
You blink yourself awake? Well, out of a trance, really. In the corner of Alistair's little library in Threshold. Elaris waiting beside you. Kane scribbling on parchment and muttering with Alistair across the room. Calda, perhaps between the two.
Alsana breathed out like a dust from her spellcasting. Just rubs her eyes. Oh, we have an in.
Good news for once. Go ahead.
We can get in.
Goodness, thank goodness.
When? How quickly? What's the method?
2 days from now, 4 hours past the noon. She has a servant by the name of Lisa. I've been given a description. She'll find an excuse to get by a tree large enough for us. She can, at best, get us there. There's no guarantee of us getting perfectly brought in.
That's fine. If we need to fight through the city, we will. Is she trustworthy or no?
She is trustworthy. We're grasping at a passing chance just as much as she is, and we are going. I have assured her we are going to keep collateral very low. We've been given these 2 days to make a plan to assure that our confrontation with those two does not end in the destruction of her town.
Kane sighs, finishes writing his note, rolls up the scroll, says, Alright, Alistair, can I get a map of the city then?
Map of the
The
of the
closest thing you've
Shining
got.
Citadel.
Closest thing you have to it. Descriptions, whatever.
Keep your shirt on. I'll go
Yeah.
looking.
Thank you.
Also, I just like, because I love this guy.
Alistair rustles up a somewhat outdated map. Not a very big or good one, but it's a rough outline of the layout of the city. And we are going to leave that for next time because
Yep.
it has gone a bit long.
Yeah.
Oh
So-
boy.
Oy.
So, you guys are left to prepare with the rest of this day, the 7th, the full day of the 8th, and most of the 9th. So, to that end, have your preparations in place for next time, please.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
We're
that's
gonna
gonna
be asking information as well.
Yep.
Yep. Alright, so, till next time.
fun. Till next
Till
time.
then.